goes in my books. Dude, that was the best Florida track I've ever ridden, but it was just so deep and you just started to get fatigued every lap, and trying to stay out of the deep stuff was pretty tough, but it was fun. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, and you had to stay on top of the whoops, and then the lappers are really wobbly, so you're committing to an outside, and then they're there, and you're like, and it'll mix the section up, but it was good. That was hard. I had the start and grabbed too much of my brake, which sucked, but then I kind of played catch up first lap and then hung out in 4th place the rest of the race, so good.
Brutal.
That was the worst, yeah?
Yeah. Daddy didn't race, no.
Is there ice cream?
My ping pong paddle. No, yeah, right. Gonna need it.
How you feeling?
Not like everybody else does. Good.
Ready to survive?
Ready to suffer. Mentally preparing myself.
I think it's a little bit hotter than yesterday, so I'm feeling extra pumped. Extra pumped.
Separate the men from the boys, yeah?
That's right. Well, time will tell. Give it 3 hours and we'll see.
No, it was good. I just felt solid. Like, I love this track. Riding in the sand is fun, you know. I just love the way it feels, but 3 hours of it is brutal, but happy to be good enough shape to ride it and enjoy it. Yeah, it was nice. Just, I felt good. My bike was sick, and yeah, the track was good. I mean, I've been riding down in the sand for 2 months, so it's paid off.
I feel like I win today. I didn't expect that. So happy to come here to US, GNCC, and second race with second is amazing for me. So I want to enjoy this moment and keep working.
You deserve it, man. Congrats. Thank you.
I don't know if it's getting older or what, but man, that feels the hardest race I've ever did. Every time we come here, man, last year was tough. I felt about the same, but man, that last lap I really gassed out and just had to really back it down, and Joseph just got on me, and he was riding really good in the deep sand stuff. Like, I never got to follow him to kind of watch him, like he was just always behind me, but I fell coming right over here before the finish, and as we went back out, the very last lap, and he got around me, and that was it. I just coasted her in and man, tried to keep it on 2 wheels, and it's a rough day.
Florida is the roughest thing I ever done, and now Florida with no water is the roughest thing I ever done.
They stepped it up this year, didn't they?
Yeah, my camelback broke the first lap. I don't know if my bars or something hit me in the stomach right off the start and knocked the breath out of me, and I just had to stop. And like XC2 took off right behind me. That's all I could do, man.
What did I tell you yesterday? 13th to 5th. It's tough because I got to repeat it. Next step is the podium.
There you go.
That's
How
right.
does it feel to have this one done?
A relief. Second lap, I was cooked. I just powered through it.
You hung in there. I look back, I'm like, Jesse, you did.
That's right.
That's awesome.
I think I went from like 12th to 5th in 1 lap.
You did. You held on strong. You earned it.
I didn't even get the video of that last lap because I didn't even expect it to come.
Joseph got her dialed. All right, you guys snag a photograph, and while you do, make some noise for your top 3 of the overall. GNCC photo the SC2.
And just like that, it's round 3, and we've made it to the Peach State, Aonia Pass, in Washington, Georgia. Welcome GNCC Racing to town for the Specialized General. Gone are the sands and the sunny 80-degree weather of Florida, as it's still winter here some 300 miles north, and the clay is slick. So far, nothing has slowed last year's champ Ben Kelly, and after 2 rounds, he's perfect and dominating. A decimated XC1 class has limped north from the Sunshine State to challenge Kelly in KTM. Jordan Ashburn was running second all day until an untimely crash on the last lap surrendered his position to the Spaniard, Joseph Garcia. A spent Ashburn salvaged third, but the injury bug had already bitten Garcia as he is now back home overseas. The injury bug didn't stop there, as Josh Strang and Ricky Russell both pulled out as well. Trevor Bollinger is off to his best start ever as he sits top 5 in points, and the thinning field has allowed rookie Craig DeLong to find his XC1 race legs as well. It's quite obvious who the title favorite is at the moment, but it's a long season, and in GNCC racing anything can happen. Will Ben Kelly stay perfect, or will the field prevail on another GNCC Racing Sunday? Find out next, live from Washington, Georgia at the Specialized General on Racer TV.
Are you ready to go GNCC Racing?
Hello, everyone, and welcome to America's Premier Off-Road Racing Championship, the 2022 Grand National Cross Country Series, presented by Specialized and AMA National Championship. I'm Rodney Tomlin, along with Mikey Waynes, and, of course, Johnny Gallagher. They're going to be joining us here in just a little bit as we get set for our 2-wheel portion of this Specialized General GNCC. And, Mikey, I tell you, as the stage is set on this one, after the first 2 rounds of racing, what's going to happen today? I mean, it's crazy. We've lost a few of our top riders in the XC1 Pro class. It has certainly made the field wide open as far as the overall top 10 point standings are concerned. And I tell you, I guess as we started out, obviously we know about the Stu. We know about Of course, Ricky Russell last week. We know about Thad Duvall. We know about. Here's the ones we didn't know about until after the race. Josep Garcia, suffering from some hand injury. He's already went back home. And, of course, he holding third place in the points leaves that position wide open. Now, he was going to be leaving after this round of racing anyway, which would have opened that up. But it's certainly making things a little more interesting. And Mike Wachowski is right now a solid top 5. And I was doing some standings, looking at the standings, and it's not going to take much for Mike to move into a top 3 overall position from row number 2. We got some crazy things going on in GNCC to kick off this third round here in 2022.
It's been insane, Rodney. Incredible is not the right word. I don't want to say incredible with so many riders out hurt. But literally right now the situation is who's going to step up? Who's going to be that guy to challenge Ben Kelly? And I got to think some of those guys are saying, hey, I hate that these riders are out, but this is my opportunity to show what I can do, to show that I can compete with a championship, a champion caliber rider like Ben Kelly.
Well, in this situation, especially with what you've got going on with the dominance of Ben Kelly at this particular point, it's almost no holds barred. I mean, you got to let it all hang out. It's you have nothing to lose whenever you lay it all on the line. And one of the riders that we might see step up to the challenge, and we haven't heard a lot from him in the first couple of rounds, but man, this guy has experience as far as GNCC trails and winning races. He's fresh and new to the XC1 Pro class, but Craig DeLong could be the next ringer that we might see knocking on the door of Ben Kelly here pretty soon from that XC1 Pro class.
You know that Rockstar Husky team would love that, Rodney. They've had some ups and downs over the last couple of years. Craig DeLong could be that highlight for them. Well, hey, outside of the XC1, XC2, of course, you touched on Mike Wachowski. That guy's absolutely rolling. Kind of same situation as Ben Kelly in the XC1. Who is going to step up and challenge Mike Wachowski right now?
Well, I tell you, the field is definitely still deep in the XC2 Pro Am, or the Pro Lights class, I guess, the 250 class. You still got most of the key players that are definitely in the hunt. Lyndon Snodgrass is still healthy. My boy Liam Draper, I think. I know he went out of that race early last time, but I think he still may be healthy. But you got riders like Ryder Lafferty and several others that are right there just ready to seize the moment and seize the day. Again, Wachowski is going to be tough to beat. He's in a mindset mentally. He's in a physical set as well. That, I mean, the combination together, he's just going to be tough to stop. And don't be surprised if we see Michael on the overall podium.
Absolutely.
Before. It may be this week, but I mean, it's going to be very soon.
Yeah, also Jack Edmondson in that XC2 class coming off his first podium coming back in that XC2.
Absolutely. You know, and Jack, you know, he's one of those riders. Obviously, his dad came over, kind of pioneered the European push over here many, many years ago, and Jack's kind of dabbled, if you will, a couple of different times in racing over here, but this is probably the best effort that he's had. And it's the best opportunity he's had because he's got so much experience in GNCC. He's been able to hone those skills back home in Europe, and then now he's bringing them back over here. And he could be another one of those forces that we're talking about. You know, he might be the guy that will be challenging Mike Wachowski if anyone does.
He's certainly got the talent, Rodney. And, of course, we can't forget our FMF XC3, that 125 class. Still so many players in that one, Rodney. Won't be surprised if we see another different winner out there today.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's the one thing about that class. That's the beauty of the FMF XC3 125 program. You do have those standouts. You have those riders that eventually learn to dominate in that class, but what you also have is riders really sprouting their wings, stretching their legs, learning that race pace, and what it's like to race at that intensity for 3 hours before they make that step to the 250s and then eventually to the 350s or 450s.
No doubt about it. Well, we're about ready to go racing, but first we want to hear from Jared Bolton with our Yamaha track description.
All right, thanks a lot, Jared. I'll tell you what, man, the weather conditions today a little bit different than what we had with the wind and a lot of the mud yesterday, but the sunshine today hopefully going to make course conditions a little bit better as far as that is concerned, but we do know one thing. We got a great race at hand, Mikey.
Yeah, I'm ready for it. Hey, you guys know what to expect out of the track. You know what to expect out of the riders. We're going to take a short break, get a word from our sponsors, and when we come back, it'll be Rodney Tomlin down on the start line with those iconic 10-second calls.
We all have our reasons to accomplish, to work hard. We share a common goal, to be the best. Keep fighting, put in the work, never take the easy way. Your drive and determination fuels our passion.
This Racer TV broadcast is brought to you by Specialized. Specialized Turbo e-bikes. It's you, only faster. And by Rocky Mountain ATV MC. Get ready.
Whose broad strides and bright stars
Through the perilous fight,
o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Well, there you have it, folks. Our stage is nearly set as we are almost ready to go. GNCC Racing here. One final time this weekend in Northeast Georgia to Aonia Pass. Our third round of the Grand National Cross Country Championship. And before we go much further, let's take the opportunity to be the stars of the show on row number one, the XC1 Open Pro class. Rolling to the line today in accordance to points through the first two rounds of GNCC Racing in the 2022 season. Our starting lineup, and rolling to the line first today, riding aboard the number one from Harwinton, Connecticut, on a factory racing FMF KTM, Ben Kelly. Second in points, riding aboard the number three from Livingston, Tennessee, on the Magna One Motorsports Husqvarna, Jordan Ashburn. He is now fourth in points. The rookie aboard the number 342 from Morgantown, Pennsylvania, on a Rockstar Energy Factory Husqvarna, Greg DeLong. Fifth in points aboard the number 739 out of Morgantown, North Carolina, on the Rockstar Energy Factory Husky, Trevor Bollinger. Riding aboard the 314 from Honey Pass, South Carolina on a Rev Motorsports gas machine, the Grizzly Grant Baylor. He is 8th in points. Riding aboard the number 206 from Wednesday, Connecticut on a Factory Racing FMF KTM, Josh Toad. Riding aboard the number 770, he is a 7-time World Enduro Champion on a Liquid Moly Beta Racing machine from the United Kingdom, Steve Holcomb. And rolling to the line next, aboard the number 515 from Brookfield, Canada, Tyler Medaglia. The number 773 from Sweden on the factory gas under the Coastal Racing tent, Rickard Hansen. And the 998 from the United Kingdom on an Ampro Yamaha, Todd Kellett. And that, ladies and gentlemen, your starting lineup for this, the XC1 Pro Class and the Specialized General GNCC. And one final order of business before this stage is fully dressed. And that is, of course, to ask our trusty DJ as he climbs aboard the RMAX 1000 Yamaha, DJ Chud, if you would. That's right, the Monster Interactive Transfer, aka me, opening that first turn up as we now have the stage wide open for GNCC Racing. All attention now being focused up toward turn number 1 as we await the next signals. Ricky Towery, our official start man, and finish line clacker as he Ryder begins our start sequence here today. Letting these riders know 1 minute before we kick off this final race here at Aonia Pass on this beautiful sunshiny Sunday Northeast. Call as well as 30 seconds before the start of the race. Over 300 eventually. It's out. The blue flag is out. Shut them down, guys. Shut them down. Shut them down. We are now less than 30 seconds. Are you ready to go? EC Racing. Come on, Georgia. Your team just won the national championship a little bit ago. I figured that you would be a little more amped up than that. Let's get these guys all revved up here today. And I'm going to ask you one more time. Georgia, are you ready to go? GNCC Racing! 10 seconds. And row number 1, the XC1 Pro, will be off and rolling at the Specialized General GNCC. 5:15, Tyler Medaglia grabbing the early lead on the whole shot, but it's Josh Toth snagging the lead now as we go to row 2, the XC2 250 Pro, Ryder Lafferty, Benjamin Herrera, Agnes Riordan, Vincent Smith, Cody Barnes, Thorne Devlin, Jack Evanson, Lyndon Snodgrass, Liam Draper, Mike Wachowski, Hunter Bush, Jesse Ansley, Evan Smith, Benjamin Elko, Rui Babarsa, Ryder LeBlanc, Simon Johnson, and Jonathan Johnson in 10 seconds. It's the 198 Liam Draper from New Zealand on the Teely Energy Racing KTM. As we go to the FMF XC3 125 Pro-Am, Brody Johnson, Brendan Poling, Eli Childers, Sean Myers, Max Fernandez, Chase Goslin, Dakota DeVore, Zachary Garaeus, also Jason Lipscomb, Zach Smith, Hunter North, and Jake Foreman in 10 seconds. Well, 421 will cross the stripe first. Sean Myers out of Reimersburg, Pennsylvania, but don't believe he's going to grab that early lead. That's a 156 out there, but we got the open 8 coming up next. 10 seconds. Neil Inman, Tanner Whipple, Trevor Getz, Ezra Prying, Huck Jenkins, Dylan Dela Cruz, James Skinner, Easton Morgan, Kevin LaCastro, David Bergeron, Nathan Rector, Shock Maxey, Nicholas Hunter, Tommy Fortune, Johnny Babbitts, Dustin Vincent, Jacob Barnes, Cole Whitmer, Chase Hall. Also looking at Sam Evans, Josh Ellis, Hunter Smith, and Jeremy Latimer. 258 class coming up with Tyler Palmer, Zachary Davidson, Bubs Tasha, Jason Tino, Gavin Simon, Philip Dagnanese. 10 seconds. Benjamin Wright, Bolton B. Roth, Chase Colville, Will Stephen Piper, Kobe Davis, Tanner Collins, Michael DeLosa, Walker Morris, Dylan Carreano, Joshua Tack, Tanner Myers, Tristan Landrum, Trevor Maley, Graham Davis, Sebastian Tevern. Grant Davis, 9:22 on the team green. Babbitts Online Kawasaki grabbing the early lead in that one with the 158 class coming up next. Toby Cleveland, Gunnar Williams, Michael Sullivan, Wyatt Marshall, Olin Daniels. 10 seconds. Brady Weimer, Cameron Madison, Jack Walker, and Zach Murphy. .213, Toby Cleveland out of Aaron, New York on a Fly Racing Johns. The equipment run to West Family Racing back dry. As we go to the 4-stroke 8 lights, Cooper Jones, Ryan Piper, Nathan Delaney, Aiden Meyer, Sam Hall, Anthony Blackburn, also Colton Shields, Levi Elliott, Lance Machino, Max Russ, Justin Brazo. 10 seconds. Chase Landers, Russell Smith, Garrett Mundy, Ty Ely, Nathan Ailes, Max Grant, Matthew Hollenbeck, Mitchell Owerby, Ian Potter, Gavin, Simon Piper, Grant Gaither, Sean Cochran, Corbin Dinkle, also Matthew Davis, Kate Henderson, Hayden Dillon, Nathan Davis, Adam Hollenkamp, Joshua Connor, Drew Calloway. Also Cole Forbes, Zane Williams, Benjamin Bluen, Lane Whitmer, Samuel Goins, and Blaise Moore off that road. And page 2, Jack Joy. All right, we go to the Vet 830 plus class. Danny Haftel, Josh Brown, Andrew Smith, Chris Dufrenzy, Joshua White, Jared Jordan, Josh Keto, Graham Metis, Mark Horesco, Michael Funk, Landon Smith, David Ravinsky, Jesse Arsenal, Cameron Ishmael, James Bauer, Robbie Norwood, also Mikhail Gomez, Matt Modick, and Shane O'Banion in 10 seconds. And they're off. Who's going to grab this early lead in this one now as they sort it out? 3:18 is going to be Jared Jordan from Cookeville, Tennessee on a Tracin' Racing Project Wellness back ride. Senior A40 plus Joe Marsh, Smiling Frank Messina, Shotgun Sean Remington, Joe Dean, Robert Johnson, Vinny Tomic, Chad Montgomery, Leonardo Silva, Lane Wildfong, also Joe Potter, Zach Baldridge, Joel Stoles, Brian Johnson, Buddy Barnes, and Larry Sylvia. Four, 6. Joel Stoles from Union City, Pennsylvania on the KTM grabbing the lead. Junior 8, 25 plus. Zach Nash, Evan Maynard, Shane Wicker, Caleb Haynes, Jared Borges, Braden Moore, Thomas Caldwell, Matt Servin, also Andrew France. 10 seconds. Keith Holtzclaw, Neil Oosley, Matthew Corn, Sammy Doris, Andrew Boggs, and Bryce Harden. Zach Nash in that first turn. See if he can hang on to it going in, and it does get the whole shot and out of turn 2. Heading for 3. Nash holds on to the lead in that one. Open B class, Dylan Fleming, Ryan Hymick, Austin Hovatter, Cole Morgan, Fisher Zarabek, also Jacob Lauder, Isaac Prunty, John Dickens, John Wood, Kyle Samirsky. 10 seconds. Jacob Maynard, Ty Kelly, Jake Mello, Derek Ames, and Drew Norris. That was Kyle Samansky, by the way. Stephen Piper. I butcher that name every time, too, and I apologize for those listening at home. It's a 7.52. Oh, or is that 7.25? Maybe a Ty Kelly out of Springs Mountain, Tennessee. As we go to 250B, Andrew Inman, Chandler Taylor, Nick Martin, Tyler Shields, Bancroft, Caleb Lane. 10 seconds. Ty Atkinson, Ayrton Shelley, Wyatt Gibson, Caleb Hines, Jaden Wilson, Robert Dillahay, Dakota Laskowski, also Jordan Miller, Brady Robbins, Douglas Randolph, Cody Reese, Michael Horwath, Caden Sims, Nate Smith, and Paul Best. Oh, one down, but all, rest. 888 maybe, but I don't know. That one's changing a whole lot. 150B, Carter Wendland, Ethan Dingle, Trevor Golden, Logan Crawford, Robert Weiss, Mikey Moon, Bailey Flynn, Christopher Eddy. 10 seconds. Nicholas Zions, Ranger Emmons, Andrew Seegers, Michael Browns, Colby Kimbrough, Patrick Callahan, Owen Barnes, Ryan Gribben, and Caden Childers. $150B. Mercy. 5:36. Andrew Seegers from Sumter, South Carolina. Seegers Racing KTM and Moose Racing. 4-stroke B lights. 10 seconds. Landon Beatty, Ashton Pristup, Thomas Allen, Rayleigh Messer, Brian Kubik, Jet Jarrett, Nicholas Thompson, Shane Seselwicks, Wade Tucker, Blake Freiberger, Dakota Cunningham, Lane Morse, Gavin Bacon, Brock Welsel, Drew Hoffman, Preston, Oys, Landon Harvin, Maverick Cody. Also Cole Price, Trenton Holt, Preston Horton, and Hunter Hurst all in that one. Vet B 30 plus class, Adam Odell, Brian Russ-Rotarski, Larry Hopper, Scott Harper, Julio Lubana, Thad Cece, James Arnold. Less than 10 seconds to go now for William McClure, Scott Casto, Jason McKenzie, Nick Resk, Joseph Klimp, Ryan Ford, Sasha Jazurek, Eric Cattering, Ben Odell, Ricky Stanley, Leonardo Piera, Ryan Tucker, Dylan Klein, Keith Taylor, Nolan Ryan, and Sean Natassi. 383, William McClure from Dahlonega, Georgia, on the McClure's Hog Farm back drive. The Senior B 40 plus class, Adam Nastic, Mark Fortner, 40A, Mauricio De Souza, Jolselton Ramos, Mike Swartz, Dave Younglis, Aaron McAfee, and Brett Maynard in 10 seconds. And the Senior B 40 plus. Big long drive into that first turn. Hard on the binders as a elbow coming out of that first turn. Couple elbows being thrown. They're serious out there. I believe that was Mauricio De Souza possibly. As we go to our final row, Junior B 25 plus in 10 seconds. Benjamin Fricks, Dakota Turner, Dylan Turner, Trevor Sims, Casey Munger, Jesse Fulmer, Josh Bowling, Brandon Farmer, Trenton Madison, Alex Grunder, Tyler Cornell, Taylor Myers, Colton Hawk, Jesse Carson, and Billy Siglia. And 5:31. Might have been Dylan Turner on the 355, also on the Mill Creek North Carolina, but that's a start. 300 riders traversing the trails of Northeast Georgia as we roll through this third round of the 2022 Grand National Cross Country Championship presented by Specialized. When we come back, and can we see what's going to happen? Will Ben Kelly be able to make it 3 in a row to kick off the 2022 season? Will someone play spoilers? Stick around to find out. GNCC Live continues after this.
We all have our reasons to accomplish, to work hard. We share a common goal to be the best. Keep fighting, put in the work, never take the easy way. Your drive and determination fuels our passion.
Born of family values and a homegrown work ethic, Cometic Gaskets seals your machine so you can focus on the finish line. Cometic Gaskets are the competitive standard for racers who demand the very best. Cometic Gaskets are constructed from superior materials designed to perform in the most demanding environment, whether it's championships on the line or a day in the dirt with friends. Professionals and enthusiasts depend on Cometic. Cometic Gaskets, sealing championships since 1989.
AMSOIL runs on freedom and has since 1972. We punish our products firsthand in our world-class laboratories and beyond, because some things can't be learned from a test tube. Run with us.
This Racer TV broadcast is brought to you by Specialized. Specialized Turbo e-bikes. It's you, only faster. And by Rocky Mountain ATV MC. Get ready.
Live, Mikey Waynes. You've already heard from my colleague Rodney Tomlin down in the starting line with those iconic 10-second calls. Joined in the booth now by the Stu Baylor. I'd rather see you out there on the track, but it is what it is. And we'll also have Johnny Gallagher in here a moment. Want to welcome you guys here watching round number 3 in Washington, Georgia, the Specialized General GNCC. Third round of this GNCC Racing Series presented by Specialized and AMA National Championship. We welcome you if you're just now tuning in. I think we're going to get you guys started with our Specialized start replays. See who snags some hole shots in the XC1, the XC2, and the FMF XC3, starting obviously with that XC1 class. Stu, man, we just talked off air. I said, Stu, between GNCC pros and Supercross pros, we might have a full gate. Everybody's hurt, but hey, how about it? I think I was Tyler Medaglia grabbing the whole shot in this one. And Toth and Kelly, good starts for them as well. Last I heard, I believe it was Toth out in front.
Yeah, Toth, I think obviously some issues there in Florida, but he seemed really positive today. He loves the Georgia terrain. XC2, I actually got to catch up with a lot of these guys. I didn't walk the track. I didn't want to see how great it looked, but I got to talk to a lot of these guys. The XC2 class, there's a lot of hungry guys out there.
Yeah, I mean, they got an opportunity here today, no doubt about that. How about it, your buddy Liam Draper, the 198, grabbing the whole shot. Now the big question is, can Liam Draper put together a 3-hour race? Doggone, man, let's get on that podium.
I hope so. I know Liam's had a really tough time coming back with that knee. I taped it up before the day. He injured it down in Florida, and the x-rays did not look too great. If he finishes, more respect to him. I don't think he's tough enough. I told him that, but we'll see. Obviously a good start. And then XC3 as well. I didn't get to catch up with many of these guys, but that's been a fun to watch this year.
Yeah, no doubt. And I believe it was Sean Myers grabbing the whole shot there in the XC3. So there you go, folks. Your Specialized rapid replay of our starts for XC1, XC2, and XC3. And looking at the FMF PowerPoint right now, mile marker number 10. Give you guys an idea of what these riders are facing. Yeah, by the way, not leaders on screen, back a few. But we'll give you a look at our Yamaha Racing track map. If you got that dialed there, Adam. Sorry. I jumped the gun a little, buddy. There you go. He said you didn't. I got it coming. It's on its way. Stu, I can let you speak to this more than I can. Obviously, every report I got this morning, it was a good track.
Yeah, so I've heard 80% really good. That other 20% is going to be very soft. And looking at this track map, so just knowing this place, where the track usually breaks down. So, and I think this is probably going to play some yo-yo effect today. When the riders go back around the field, you're going to come in. There's the 4-mile marker, the furthest place out. After the 5, somewhere around the 6, back in there, all the way until the 8. Around the little pond you can see on the track map, there's a lot of really, really wet places. I know where that's where most of our guys went into the woods. And then another place that they said is going to kind of be a major role play in this race is, I guess, one more mud hole after the 8-mile marker, somewhere around the 9. I know for a fact right below the finish line, that place, there's a creek that comes off there. We'll have to cross that, and around that FMF PowerPoint, Johnny Gallagher actually said that was going to be a really tough section through there. So that's kind of where you expect to see the little bit of a yo-yo effect. And this is one of those races where Ben Kelly, I caught up with him before the race, and he mentioned it. You don't want to lead early on. You want to watch somebody kind of make some mistakes, and hopefully they get stuck before you do, because those 20%, that 20% where they said it's bad, it's really, really deep. Bad. And I mean, obviously you can see with the section on camera here, that's hard base, good red clay.
Yeah.
There's a lot out there that is completely different dirt. This place has a lot of different terrain, and some of the gray dirt out here that holds moisture unlike anything I've ever seen. It's like a sandy mud, and it's gnarly. And there we've got the leader. It looks like Josh Toth still in front. So that's good to see. And Jordan Ashburn, obviously, we've seen him up front a lot, and there's the guy that everybody's kind of keeping an eye on, Ben Kelly, and he's doing exactly what he said he wanted to do. He said, I want to set back, watch the leaders, wait till lap 2 or 3 and make my move. Which that's his plan, and obviously, plans can change fast.
These guys start pushing.
And this is one, everybody's a lot tighter here. I think we'll see a tighter group, especially more so than the last few races. More like Big Buck. I think we're going to have some playing out like that. one that I really want to keep an eye on is XC2. I think we're going to see some of these guys checking up in the early overall contention, maybe not the lead, but...
Well, hey, yesterday it came through for the TV, for the broadcast report. We had Jay Shadron from XC2 leading it. The truth was Wyatt Wilkin, who had a transponder that wasn't working, was ahead of Shadron. So we had 2 XC2 guys in the lead after lap 1. Now, as the race developed, they fell back, but man, I got to think that might be the case here today with the XC2. And to your point, I mean, Wachowski, you look at the point standings, and Wachowski already sits 5th in points, and there's Snodgrass right there.
Snodgrass was actually my pick. I picked him early. Obviously, Mike Wachowski, my teammate, I think he's riding really well, but Snodgrass, I rode a lot with him this offseason in these conditions. Him and Cody Barnes, you know, I was kind of undecided on who would be second between Cody Barnes and Mike, but that was kind of my picks that I talked with Mason. We did some videos before the race, and that was my top 3. I've seen Lennon ride this a lot, and he's very technically inclined in these ruts and gnarly conditions, a lot like what I rode all off-season. He was fast, like really fast this off-season. So I expect to see him up front. Josh Strang, he was also Strang's pick for XC2. Obviously, we want to see a different leader. You know, it's cool. He's my teammate. I'm not putting anything down on Mike, but you know, we want some excitement. We also want to see everybody I asked was like, I don't want Ben to win. You know, obviously he's the pick, and when you become the pick, people want to see somebody else win. And it's nothing against Ben. It's just to keep racing exciting. So I'm gonna be the negative guy that's gonna go against these guys all day long, even if they're leading. Like we need to say, oh well, you know, this can still happen. But no, it's. This is one of those tracks where it could be anybody's race, and you're one mistake away from really going backwards on a track like this.
No doubt, man. I was talking to Johnny Gallagher before the race, and I had mentioned something about, I was like, what can we do? What do we got to do to get KR to go out? I don't think that's going to happen. But I said, all right, I'm going to text Chris Bach. I'm going to see if Chris Bach wants to line up and run some XC1 here before the end of the year. What a crazy season. But, hey, it is what it is. And like you said, it creates opportunities for those XC2 guys, creates opportunities for guys in the XC1 to maybe jump up there and get a podium as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, some of the excitement is definitely gone, but it opens the opportunity, and maybe the mental side, which is just about as strong as anything in racing, it allows this guy to think that he might be able to do a little bit better. So now we finally have, it looks like, some of the A riders checking in on screen. I think actually I'm looking wrong. I think that's XC3. So the XC3 leaders, the XC3 top 3 coming through there. And next we should see the leaders of the A class start coming in. And then right here coming into the finish, I think any second. Oh,
yeah, they checked in. Keep in mind, folks at home, we bypassed a little bit of this track, so when you look at those lap times, it will get a little longer as the day goes on. But as you saw on screen a moment ago, Toth out in front, Ashburn in the number 2 spot, and rounding out that top 3 is your defending champ coming in here. 2 wins to start the season, sitting in 3rd, but from what Stu is saying, sounds like he's right where he wants to be. Bollinger in the number 4 spot, Steve Holcomb on that beta, rounding out your top 5. Grant Baylor in the number 6 spot with Craig DeLong 7th, Medaglia 8th, and 9th is Todd Kellett. And I got to think more have checked in. That might have changed up. There you go. Lyndon Snodgrass checks in the XC2 from row 2, sitting 10th, so not really up there real high as far as adjusted time goes.
Yeah, that's honestly a little
surprising.
Bit surprising. Yeah. I think maybe that means the XC1 guys are just really starting to push right off the start this race, a little bit different approach. You know, maybe some different hungry riders. So normally in conditions like this would be a track where personally I would want to set in, and I think usually the XC1 guys do. They're a little more patient, but this year's been crazy. There's been a lot of action in XC1 where guys are just at each other's throat, you know, want to be that next guy. Ever since Caleb Russell's left, it's kind of changed the pace of things. So now we see some of the tail end of XC1 checking through the pro pits. Look like Steve Holcomb, and then I missed the next one. It might have been Grant and then Craig DeLong. Next we should be watching the XC2 leaders check in on screen any second.
Well, we mentioned it, Stu and I, right before the show started. I said, dude, between Supercross last night and what we got going on in GNCC, we could combine our pros and maybe have a full starting gate in Indianapolis Supercross next weekend. Maybe have a full starting line for XC1 in a couple of weeks. But, yeah, it's just been kind of the story of the year. Like you said, I don't know if Supercross guys drink the same water, Kool-Aid that you guys had, but that was a wild one. Hopefully we're safe here today. Let's get all those injuries out of the way, and we can go racing. Lyndon Snodgrass, that looks like that's who's coming through, sure enough.
Yep, and I can't tell it. Is that a beta in second? Maybe Evan Smith?
Yeah, it might be. Let's take a look at our XC2
Ryder
class.
Lafferty, maybe.
Oh, I bet you're right. Let's see.
I couldn't tell if it was a beta or a gas.
That is Ryder Lafferty on the gas, and I went one too far. There we go. Wachowski back in third. Your gaps there, you got 2 seconds back to Lafferty, which you folks saw on screen, and when he checked in, it was about 1.5 seconds back to Mike Wachowski. I'd say it's just about the same. Barnes back by about 4.5 seconds. Thorne Devlin, the 109. Husqvarna rounding out that top 5 in the XC2.
And what are we saying on the XC3 leaders? I think I messed up and might have missed a couple on screen just a minute ago.
Brody Johnson out front, the 235 Husqvarna. Second place is the number 400 of Dominic Morse. Jason Liscombe, who was the whole shot machine last year, he's sitting in third. Jake Froman fourth. And Hunter Neuwirth, my buddy, he's back there in the number 5 spot. Zach Hayes, who's coming off a good race, he's sitting 6th. And Max Fernandez has checked in that XC3 class in 7th. And there is Brendan Poling, who just checked in.
So everything, most of the classes look like we've got tight racing still, and I kind of expect to see that. I would say for the majority of today, I would say at least till lap 3, which is when I'm probably going to cut out when it starts getting boring.
All right.
Yeah, then you guys can talk it through there. But no, I do want to get out and actually watch some of the track and kind of pay attention to my competition a little bit. So,
there you go. Stu's out here taking notes. Monster Mile now. Is it still toast?
It is, and it looks like we still got Ashburn. I saw him slipping through the corner of the screen back there in second place. And actually, we might have just seen a pass for second take place there with Ben Kelly getting up on that high line, and Trevor Bollinger still right there in striking distance. I think Steve Holcomb, Grant Baylor, Craig DeLong should be the next little group we see coming through.
So Toth in control for the moment at least. And yeah, there you go. There's Ben Kelly and Jordan Ashburn. So that was the pass we saw.
And this is one of the sections that Johnny said was very, very rutted, soft dirt from yesterday. Technical getting up into it, so I'd imagine that Ashburn probably just caught a bad line, got hung up for a second to leave the door open for Ben Kelly to slip by on its inside. Now we have Steve Holcomb. So this is going to be, I believe, his last race here with us. So yeah, it'd be nice to see him do something well. I think he's he really wants to, and it's a tight group there around that 5th place position. Looks like there's 6 guys piled right on top of each other, which pretty much rounds out the XC1 class.
Yeah, no kids crazy
anymore. We would be waiting for a few more, but yeah, that's I mean, it sucks, but it is racing, and I've seen a lot of crazy stuff, but I think this has been by far the craziest year I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Kind of unexplained injuries and, you know, stupid run-in with a lapper or another rider taking a bad line, losing the front end, and clipping a tree. I mean, it's like everybody I talk to, it's like the crashes were, it either wasn't their fault or they don't even know what happened. Like I've asked a few guys what happened with your injury, and they're like, I mean, I think I hit a stump, but I couldn't tell you. Just we really don't know. So I'm going with it's something in the water.
So yeah, that's as good a guess as any at this point. Hey, back to Steve Holcomb. I know you saw Joseph snag P2 last weekend in Florida. If you folks at home did not know, if you were wondering, Joseph Garcia, I believe, broke some bones in his hand.
Yep, yet another XC1.
Yes, out. Another XC1 out. Was supposed to race today, but after breaking his hand, I think he'd already had it worked on and ended up heading back home. So, Joseph, if you're watching, please, in the future, come back. Stu Baylor wants to line up against you.
Absolutely, I do.
Heck yeah.
I do. I sent him a message and said I'm looking forward to Jordan Ashburn having problems, so his bike just shut off. That might change my podium predictions.
There you go. Well, there you go.
Not sure. Let's see if we can get the camera guy to
problems
back over
for Ashburn.
And there's that group of 5th place battle. It looks like Craig DeLong just overtook Steve Holcomb there.
Is Ashburn still there?
And Ashburn is still there. I saw him pull back to the pitch just before the race, so I'm wondering if maybe something happened in between. I don't know, but it looks like he is, I would say, as best I can tell, out of this one. There's Josh Strang actually standing there helping him. And he's back and going. So not sure what it is, what happened, but maybe a little help from a fellow XC1 guy got him back up and moving.
Well, I'll head to the pits here in a moment. I'm sure they may not even know yet at this point, but we'll get the word on that from the Magna 1 Husqvarna team here in a moment, find out what is going on out there. Sounds good. Stu Baylor helping folks out here. Johnny Gallagher joining me in the booth, and Rodney Tomlin making his way in here. So, Johnny, crazy stuff going on already.
Yeah, we got a shake-up up front, but the one thing that has not changed, Josh Toth, the number 206 FMF factory Red Bull KTM still out front. Ben Kelly in second. That now moves Trevor Bollinger up to that third-place spot. A much-needed shot in the arm for Trevor, seeming to be struggling just a little bit early in the season. Some solid finishes, but we know Trevor's a podium guy, wants to be a podium guy, could be a podium guy, and right now those top three have really started to stretch it out after Ashburn's unfortunate departure from the lead pack. There's Craig DeLong now fourth, Stevie Holcomb fifth, and hard to see exactly who that was there, sixth and seventh. We know the visiting Canadian, Tyler Medaglia, one of those riders. Yeah, it's here in the Yamaha forest, it's getting wild, but the top seven now through here at the 3 mile marker through Method Alley Race Wheels. And I got to tell you, Mikey, you know, to see Jordan Ashburn, he's Mr. Consistent. He's really kind of been the rock solid guy, not just this year, not just these last couple of races, but honestly, and there he is. So Jordan has actually made up a good bit of time to get back into that still well within the top 10 overall and in that XC1 class. So here's something that, you know, we're not seeing on screen. I know Lyndon Snodgrass was up pretty far in the overall, but right now it looks like the XC1 guys have turned up the pace and started to stretch it back away. Here's your battle for the XC2 lead. Ryder Lafferty in second, Lyndon Snodgrass out first, and in the third place spot, your points leader, Mike Witkowski, on that 282 factory Yamaha and Pro machine. Oh, and that, whew, Thorne Devlin almost going down there, getting a little risky through that section, but yeah, this is a rough section of racetrack through here. There's 2 lines, as we can see, and this kind of, Mikey, this mimics a lot of the course. There's a lot of split line sections, a lot of choices, and if you're trying to make a pass, you know, you have to run those alternate lines. You can't follow a guy, but it also is a little sketchy on a track like this because it's so deep and so soft. One wrong move can have you off the bike, pushing, lifting, and expending a lot of energy.
That was, Stu alluded to that. Johnny, you had mentioned it yesterday a little bit, and as a matter of fact, Walker Fowler, who took the win yesterday, talked about this was one of those tracks where the first lap you wanted to hang back. Ben Kelly, that was a report Stu got from him, was he said, I don't want to lead this one right away. I'm going to take my time. And that was exactly what Walker Fowler said yesterday, who took the win. He said, man, I'm gonna give it a minute. I want to watch these guys course this, and I'm going to hang back and kind of see what happens. And there we're looking at Magna 1 preparing. It's probably going to be all hands on deck for Jordan Ashburn here in a minute.
Yeah, you got to wonder, though. I mean, that happened at the 2 mile marker, so he had just been through VP Fuels Pro Row a minute earlier, there about a mile and a half earlier. They're obviously communicating there within the team, trying to, looks like they're getting some things ready. There's text, there's radios. They've got every form of digital communication available, but the reality of it is we don't personally know exactly what happened there. It's kind of a situation of we're guessing, we're trying to figure out what it could have been. It looked like Josh Strang was speaking with him. A lot of things happening, but at the same time, we've got some laughs going on. So
okay, that's good.
Whatever it is, they're taking it with a grain of salt and taking it in stride. But honestly, Jordan looked up to speed when we saw him then at the 3 mile marker. You know, it's one of those things where it could have just been a misfire with the bike, something going on there. Did Jordan have a mechanical, or did he have a personal issue? I mean, for him to just stop there on the side of the trail, and the one thing that was odd, didn't seem to have a lot of sense of urgency. He was just kind of sitting on the bike, talking, so I've got to believe that, at least for the time being, whatever the issue is fixed, and he's back on course and plugging along. Yeah, I mean, like you said, no sense of urgency. It's almost like he maybe, I saw Strang was standing there, maybe he had an 8mm in his pocket and his front brake was loose. I mean, he definitely didn't seem to be injured, and when he took off, obviously you guys said he was back up and rolling. I stepped out the back actually to let some of the guys know down at the pits that he was having issues in case he needs some help and assistance. But yeah, he came through at the 3 mile marker, the shot we're seeing on screen here, and he was on the hammer, and actually looked like he may have made up a little bit of time in the mile since he had stopped or the bike had stopped, whatever had happened. Mikey, I'm sure at the opportunity will be down there to get an update from the Magna 1 pits if they know.
If they know. Yeah, if they know.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like they're pretty light. They're not. They looked a little rushed, and then we see smiles. So maybe whatever it is got figured out. I actually just tried to call Strang to figure out what was going on in the woods there. But obviously, I'm sure he's got a lot of things on his mind out there watching these guys.
Well, no doubt about it. Hey, Lyndon Snodgrass leading the XC2. Last we saw, Josh Toth leading the XC1. But for how long? Some trouble for Ashburn. It's all going to unfold. That and more coming up here live on Racer TV. We'll be right back with some GNCC.
Last season was my best season ever by far. I won a lot of races. I won a championship, and it was also my first year using ARMA. And one of the things I noticed was just my ability to string good days together. You know, like especially in the summertime in Florida where you're riding every day and the heat index is 108 degrees and you're doing 230s and going to the gym and bicycle and all that stuff. I think in the past I've been super inconsistent day to day. Yeah, I may have a good race here or a good day during the week there, but overall I think where I improved the most was my consistency in my recovery.
I'm seven-time GNCC champion Walker Fowler, and I run GBC.
Like a bullet into the first turn, the number one with the pink helmet and pink bars. It is Walker Fowler, the 17th.
Fist bump. You should be proud of yourself, Devin Feehan. What a ride today.
I'm Devin Feehan, and I run GBC.
I'm Josh Merritt, and I run GBC.
I'm Chris Borch, and I run
GBC.
Back at Ionia Pass, and Rodney Tomlin along with Stu Baylor and Johnny Gallagher now as we return back here for our third round. And wow, Josh putting it kind of in perspective there a little bit. Everybody coming in 100%, and in years past we've had a little different scenario, but wow, here we are. I mean, it's uncharted territory, it almost seems like.
Well, honestly, there's been a lot of discussions around not just in GNCC, not just in motorcycles, but obviously motorsports in general. High rate of speed, some perceive it as a dangerous sport. I mean, life's a dangerous sport, honestly. But I personally have a little bit different perspective as to, what's been going on the first part of this season. I think basically what I perceive from the outside looking in is, even though, we had the departure of Caleb Russell last year, there were some guys that were kind of expected to be dominant coming into last season, where this year I think more guys have kind of thrown their hat in the ring and really want to vie for those podiums and potentially fight for that championship. And I think when you're pushing at that level, it's kind of hard to know where you slate in. Right. You end up pushing yourself maybe without even realizing it outside your comfort zone. And I think that's part of what we've seen at the beginning of this season. Obviously, last night, if you watched Supercross, things got rowdy there as well. Yeah. And it's, hey, when you're out there pushing the limit, sometimes the only way to find the limit is to push past it. And, that is, at least in part, I think, part of what we're seeing. But, Josh, great attitude. And, I mean, Rodney, you've thrown it out there so many times. I mean, this is a guy that's enjoying the sport, enjoying his place in the sport, and riding very well. I mean, right. We saw him up pushing, obviously up front in all of the races last year and the races this year. And I think when he comes back after his relatively quick recovery from his arm, I think we'll see him right back up front. And it's good to have him. Hey, he's out lending a hand to fellow racers in the woods. And actually, Stu Baylor was able to have a little bit of a conversation on the phone with Josh. Stu, Josh, he called you back and said, yeah, what's going on with Ashburn there?
Yeah, so Josh said he said, yeah, mate, we fiddle with the plug over there, but no, it sounds like maybe electrical, maybe fuel.
He said a connector, and that honestly led me to think perhaps, I know they've had some issues with that fuel line connector on the KTMs and Huskies, and if it's not clicked in just perfect, the bike will shut off. But it's odd. I mean, the bike was running fine right up till then. Obviously, he said the bike shut off. They fiddled with the connector, and he took off. That's all the information we have.
Yep, that's all I got. He said it was like the bike ran out of gas, so maybe possibly airlocked. If you airlock your tank, you sit there for a little while, it gets the air back to it, and then you're no longer sitting there on the side of the track. I've definitely had that happen, and it's easy, especially with mud like this. It can cake up around just about anything and stop the airflow. So that could be the issue, but Josh said, I don't know if what we did worked, but we got him back going.
And he asked you a question, too. He said he took off. He was going great. Is he still going?
Yeah.
And Stu said, yeah, we're watching him on TV. He's still ripping along. He's doing great. He's making up time. So that just goes to show you, when you're in one place, you don't get to see it all, but when you're here on Racer TV, you get to see a lot more of it. So I got Rodney, Stu, I got one question for you. If Jordan Ashburn's able to get back up on that podium, will he mention the fact that Josh Strang fiddled with a connector? That is how they, in fact, fixed his Magna 1 lubricants Husqvarna today and got him back out there.
I'm sure he will. I know he noticed that it was Strang, and I'm sure he's very appreciative. If it possibly did help, and I guess we'll know here soon whether we see these guys come through on camera here at the 10-mile marker. They should be due. We can see, I believe that's Steve Hatch coming on camera, so he's waiting for his guy Josh Toth to check in. And normally when you see the pro riders guys start checking through, we should be seeing them any minute. So Ashburn, the way you guys said he was riding, maybe we'll see him right back in there in that podium contention. Obviously, he had 7-8 guys to get through to get there, but we'll see soon enough. And here it is. We've still got Josh Toth up front with Ben Kelly right behind him.
Well, it's a good start for Josh Toth. This is something that he needed, especially after what happened last round. And I don't believe he was able to score any points with the issues down there in Florida. But to be able to bounce back a week later like this and not only grab the whole shot, but also leading the bigger part of 2 laps so far. And that's pretty impressive on his part, that he's able to collect himself and fuel himself and direct himself into this position today.
Yeah, they have really shaken Trevor Bollinger. Bollinger was right on the rear wheel of Ben Kelly when we saw them last. Now Craig DeLong has actually caught up to Bollinger. So Bollinger's still in that third place spot, but DeLong putting the pressure on there in fourth. So that gap has opened up. Not huge, but that was probably, I'd say, on the high end of 20 seconds there, that gap where last time we saw it was barely 20 feet. So Bollinger and you got the two teammates up front. You got the Rockstar Husqvarna teammates in third and fourth, and Ben Kelly, Josh Toth 1 and 2. So it's the battle of the teammates at the moment, battling over first, battling over third.
And these guys train with each other, obviously, all year down at Ranch Russell. And last time we saw, so there's Jordan Ashburn.
Jordan Ashburn up to the fifth place spot. Woo!
Oh! Going around Steve Holcomb
how much time did he spend in the pits when he was over there?
It was on the woods.
Oh, it's just in the woods.
Where his bike shut off. But now, those guys that he passed there, that's Tyler Medaglia and Stevie Holcomb, world-class riders. I think that Jordan will be able to sprint away from them, but the scary part for Jordan is he's soon going to find himself there in no man's land.
Right.
And, he's got it looks like maybe around about a minute to make up to get up to those leaders. So is it possible? Absolutely. If anybody can do it on a track like this today, Jordan Ashburn might be the guy.
And there's Lennon Snodgrass coming through for XC2, and it looks like he still has, is that Ryder right behind him? I saw a red bike back there, but it could be Grant in the XC1 class. See what we can see right here. Yeah, so that's still Ryder Lafferty sitting right there behind him, and I couldn't tell. I'm sure that's still Mike Witowski, and it looked like Cody Barnes there in fourth. So nothing's happened in the XC2, but one thing we kind of jumped over with the excitement was Craig DeLong was battling in that 7th, 8th place in that group that's now way back, and he's in no man's land almost, but not far from being able to see the tail end of Trevor Bollinger.
Yeah.
When two riders hook up on a track like today, with that soft spot on the screen, sometimes you see outside lines, little edges that you otherwise wouldn't ride, and you put a group of two guys, they can start running down and making a lot of ground up. So here we see these guys. Let's see just how far back this next group is.
So we're at 47:40 as Ben Kelly leaves that shot there at the 11-mile marker. So we'll be waiting and watching. Will it be still the 7:39 of Trevor Bollinger? And it is Bollinger. So actually not too bad, about 15, 16 seconds. So, and then Craig DeLong, like you said, getting up to the point where he can just about see the back of Bollinger there, and he's about 23 seconds.
And I don't think he, realistically, coming from back where that group was, they were about 25, 30 seconds back the last time Craig was actually in that group. So Craig is about the same distance from the leaders, but he's been able to break away, and he was actually behind Steve Holcomb the last time we saw when Ashburn was on that hill. So he's made some passes and actually been able to close the gap, it looks like, a little bit.
And now we're going to get the exact, or pretty close to exact, split on Jordan Ashburn. It was 47:40 when Toth and Kelly kind of left that screen there. Toth obviously being a couple seconds ahead. So we're coming up on a minute. It's over a minute back to Jordan Ashburn at this point. We know he was stopped on the side of the trail. Obviously, we'll get an exact split when they check through the Ryder transponder scoring there. And here is Ashburn. So he's about a minute 11 back is what we're seeing on screen. And there is now, it is actually, Medaglia has made the pass on Stevie Holcomb for that 6th place spot, it would be.
And I'm getting some updates here. It looks like Grant's seat and the back end of his bike fell off, and there we see it. And Bub Stasha needs a rear wheel. I'm getting a lot of updates over here. And apparently we need to start a fantasy off-road picks instead of Supercross fantasy.
Are they already doing that?
XC2 leader on screen, Lyndon Snodgrass. There is your 2nd place rider. That is still Ryder Lafferty. And 3rd, Mike Witowski. Looks like the 4th place rider of Cody Barnes dropping back just a little bit, but still very much in touch there. And here's your leaders on screen, folks.
And Ben's doing exactly what he needs. I mean, exactly what he set out to do, the same way he played it in Florida.
Right.
Obviously, he doesn't want to lose the tail end of this. And Josh, who's one of my toughest competitors at the National Enduros, he's very good at reading trail, and I think Ben knows his competition, and he knows that. So he would prefer to watch somebody that's very good at reading trail start. If you noticed, almost every time we've seen Ben and Josh on camera, Ben is on an outside line, which usually plays in favor late in the race. But he's also trying to see, is it worth it to go out here? Am I going too far out of my way? So he's playing a little cat and mouse to see the lines that he wants to be on. And Craig DeLong has made it right up to the rear wheel of Trevor Bollinger, which was about 7 seconds last time that we saw that.
So while they're installing a new rear fender on Grant's bike, Stu, I do have a question for you there. So I can only speak from my personal experience and talking with other riders. Obviously, when you're following a rider, we talk about that draft. It's not a physical draft in the sense of, aerodynamics, really. It's kind of that mental draft of not needing to think, just keying off their lines. So my question to you, it looks like Mikey Waynes is down with Grant Baylor, and we may be getting an update here.
Hey, thanks, guys. Yeah, down here with Grant Baylor. Grant, talk to me, man. Into the pits, not where we want to see you right now.
Yeah, definitely not. I ended up just hitting a big root out there around the 8-mile marker, and there was a tree right after the root that was hanging across the track, kind of low hanging, and the root just sent me straight up into that tree, and it just took me off the bike and took the rear end of the bike right off and took the seat and the rear fender clean off. So it was kind of hard to ride without a seat or rear fender out there, and freaking mud and water was just coming up into the airbox and stuff. So we had to bring it back into the pits and do a little repair here. So hopefully we can get back out there quick and still get some points. Luckily, I'm okay. Went down hard, but we're all good.
All right, go ahead, Rodney. You got a question.
Oh, no, go ahead.
All right. That's going to wrap us up, dude. We'll let you get back to it. Look at the man. He's all tore up. The bike's tore up. He's still ready to go. We'll send it back to you guys.
But is the tree okay, is my question.
Is the tree okay?
The Grizzly versus the tree. The Grizzly's going to win every time.
So, wow. Very unfortunate incident, but a fortunate outcome, it appears, because
it's just not another injury.
Right, exactly. That's exactly what I'm alluding to, because a scenario like that, I mean, those are the kind of crazy things that happen whenever you get things like that. But hopefully this will be some inspiration for Grant to go out. Maybe he'll be get a little bit of that Baylor blood boiling a little bit and go out there and just tear up this racetrack coming up here in the next little bit. Now, wondering about that drop back, or that gap back to Jordan Ashburn. Physically, he is 50.6 seconds behind Craig DeLong, but when you start looking at time adjustments, he's back in the number 8 spot. It's Lyndon Snodgrass, Ryder Lafferty, Mike Wachowski have all checked in 1, 2, and 3 in the 5, 6, and 7 overall spots. The gaps between them, first and second, about 2.5 seconds, another second and a half back to third. So those three basically running, you could throw a blanket over those three battling for that top 3 in the XC2 right now.
Yeah, something to think about. What was the gap back to Craig DeLong? 23, 25 seconds when we looked last?
It was, roughly 20 or 16, 17 seconds to Trevor Bollinger, and about another 6, 7 seconds back. So, I think it was 23 seconds.
So, Craig is right at 20 seconds. So, he's actually gaining on the leaders at this point, coming, from no man's land. And Trevor Bollinger, he was actually my third place pick for the day. I think that he rides these conditions really well. Craig DeLong rides these conditions really well. And I told Craig before the race, I said, apparently he wants me to talk a little worse about him. So I walked up to him, I said, hey, I didn't put you on my podium predictions. Just letting you know. So use that for fuel. I'm sure he's not thinking about me at this point, but maybe it sparked a little. So obviously he's riding really well, but I could see those two being able to close that gap to the leaders, and honestly I hope that's the case, because I want to see that four-way battle. Like, I think it's close enough right now. It's definitely a possibility, and obviously we all want to see a little more action in the XC1 class with a lesser class at this point, not capability, but obviously less guys out there. We want to have more to talk about, so I'd love to see him duking it out all for the lead.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a four-way battle for the lead would be exciting. The two-rider battle for the lead should be coming by. I think we may have just seen a rider on the right side of the screen there. That we're going to deal with that a lot today. Of course, as long as they stay between the strings, it is still part of the race course. And, man, these ruts are getting so deep, they're moving all over the place. Again, I think it seemed we had some riders going by on the right side, and we've got some mud stuck to those trees, so I think the line may have moved over, but we'll wait and see if we are still waiting on them. These looked like some lapped riders now coming through. They're just making their way through this section for the first time, and we've got our leaders coming through for lap number 2. You can see we got some riders off to the right there. Again, we're waiting and watching.
And there is the leaders.
There's your leaders. Actually, lap 3, by the way, Johnny. Don't mean to.
Oh, yes. Well, their second time through this part.
Right.
They did do this part. They started around about the 3-mile marker.
Absolutely.
So the second time through this section on lap number 3, yes. I know it's kind of confusing at home, but, folks, if you weren't following along with the track map earlier.
And there's that group of, sorry to cut you off.
No, you're right.
I think they might have closed the gap. Let's watch this.
So 55-22 around that corner was Ben Kelly and Josh Toth. And yeah, that's about 13 seconds. So that 23 down to 13, they've made up 10 seconds. And Stu Baylor's premonition is coming true, folks. We're going to see a 4-rider battle for the lead happening real quick. And Stu, you know, with the track is being the way it is, you know, obviously if you're up front, you don't want to be the guy that is the guinea pig and sticks at the mud hole. So Josh Toth, Ben Kelly, those guys are being a little more cautious, probably picking those lines. Now, the real big advantage for Craig DeLong and Trevor Bollinger is they are going to physically be able to see those guys soon. And normally that's kind of a motivating factor, but today it's even better because they can see the line those guys take ahead of them, and they can carry their speed, never need to check up, never look around. They're just point A to point B, hammer down. I think barring some lappers getting in the mix, that's going to tighten up even more here very quickly.
Now, as far as conditions as compared to yesterday, I mean, what are we looking at? I know we had muddier conditions yesterday, but do we still have mud in those lower lying areas? There's still a lot out there then?
Oh, yeah. No, it's honestly, Rodney, I would say with the exception of, here is Josh Toth on screen there still at the, well, this is the other side of the 2-mile marker, the third part of the Monster Mile. We actually see these guys 3 times from this one area, and we'll assume it was still Ben Kelly there behind him. They'll actually come the other way and up. This is pretty cool. If you look at the track map, it kind of clover leaves back to this spot several times right here, and he's going along the ditch. He should be coming back the other way just about any second.
Well, now is the time, I have to say, Ben Kelly needs to make his move. And you can see he's starting to push it. He knows by the pit board that these other guys are starting to come.
I think we might have just seen him make his move. I think Ben Kelly might have taken the lead in that one. But yeah, I'm sure you're exactly right, Stu. He wants to get away. He doesn't want to make it a 4-rider battle. He's perfectly fine battling his teammate there. But, you know, you bring more riders into it, it's more opportunity to lose more positions or get yourself behind the 8 ball.
Well, you know, and couple that with the fact that they are getting into a meaty part of lap traffic right now, and he realizes and reckons that is slowing them down, knowing even if he's not getting the pit boards, that has to be closing that gap up.
You know, and I'll be honest with you, it did definitely look like Ben kind of wicked it up through that section and may possibly have taken the lead. We'll find out here. There's Jordan Ashburn going the other way. There's Tyler Medaglia, or that actually Ashburn might be a little bit ahead of those guys. But I got to tell you, if I was Ben Kelly, given the way things are right now with the points, with the first 2 races he's had, and with the track conditions today, I'd be hard-pressed to try to sprint away this early. You know, but maybe that's why I'm a guy that's only won 1 race in 23 years. You know, I play it safe, and I think here is Ashburn. We'll cut away from there, but that was our 5th-place rider, Jordan Ashburn, coming through. And, actually, Medaglia has worked his way back up to Jordan Ashburn, so he's latched on now. Ashburn, the man on the move, and he's got a tail
Steve
there.
Holcomb was actually right behind Medaglia. So both of those guys, obviously really fast guys, and that group can, yep, here we've got the lead. So he didn't quite make it fast, or maybe he did and lost it right away. But, yeah, you know, Ben, right now is the time. If it were me and I got a pit board, hey, Trevor and Craig coming, and usually you get that. You know, you'll know. That's when you want to make the move because you do not want to give up multiple positions. When you get 4 guys going for the same line, it just takes one little slip up, and you can move to 4th and make a mistake. It changes the outcome. You know, the little butterfly effect that plays with all of these racers. You can get by, usually if you're 1st or 2nd when you're in a group, the lappers are easy to get through. Obviously leading, if you're leading, a 2nd-place guy can close up the group, but a guy will stay off the track just long enough for 2 guys. That 3rd and 4th place position is like dangerous. Guys don't look back before they come back into the track and lean back into your line. So you want to stay clear of that, and right now he can take advantage of. Ben's a very good passer. He's very aggressive at making passes with lappers. He can take advantage of that and get through a lot of lappers very quickly. You can see it's just a steady line. They're into the back of these B riders, so they can get through these guys quick and get a little bit of gap. So if it were me, like, I think that Ben's probably getting that sense of urgency. He's followed enough to know, and here's that group. So it looks like actually Holcomb's gotten back Medaglia. So yeah, these guys are in another little group that could obviously, in conditions like this with the train track style ruts, all you got to have is a straight track and 3 guys, and you'll figure out the fast lines fast. And they could even get back in there. Obviously, it's quite a gap, and it may be a little more unrealistic. But I know those guys are really fast. And Steve Holcomb, 7-time world champion. Like, you can't doubt if that guy gets in the lead, he might be able to do something.
Well, there you have your 8th place rider going by there. That is Todd Kellett, the visiting rider. There is your XC2 leader. That is the 178 of Linden Snodgrass, and there's Witkowski. He took that high line last time. Right back there, still Cody Barnes, Ryder Lafferty still in the mix. So your top 4 in XC2 are through at the 3-mile marker.
Yeah, and man, we've had a great weekend of racing here. There's no doubt about it. This morning's WXC class was another barn burner, and Rachel Archer and, of course, our eventual overall winner was able to really go at it. And Taylor Jones, man, I tell you, she's been pushing it these, especially here in the 2022 season. Finally, after round 3, comes up with a win.
Hey, thanks, guys. Yeah, down here, Taylor Jones. Finally, we stood here, we talked. I said, when was the last time you took P1? We're sitting here thinking, was it 2020? No, it was 2019. We still can't remember the exact date, but hey, wild race today. White flag comes out. It was Archer up by 13.5 seconds. Her bike is mangled. Taylor Jones, you smelled blood in the water. You went out there and got the win. Tell us about it.
Yeah, I don't know. It was crazy. I got a good start, and I was actually in the lead for a little bit before getting taken out. But I don't know. I was like a long way behind there in the midsection. I just kept riding my own race, and I was like push, push, push. But on the last lap, I got like a 20-second ball. I was like, holy shit! Like I'm actually getting close, and I was like, let's send it. So and actually, I caught up to her pretty fast, and then we battled it out for a bit. I crashed, she crashed, and then it was like once I got in the lead, I was like, okay, just stay calm, ride their own race, and don't get stuck anywhere because it was pretty gnarly out there, that's for sure.
All right, my favorite word from Taylor, well, one of my favorite, the safe for TV one. How did the race make you feel post-race?
Dude, I was stoked.
She was stoked, fellas. We'll send it back to you in the booth.
All right, and we are stoked for her. Welcome back to the center of the box, Taylor. And with Josh Toth leading, Ben Kelly, Trevor Bollinger in 3rd, Craig DeLong in 4th. That is the way things are shaping up here in, lap number 3 as we approach the halfway point of this general GNCC. Stick around. More to come here on RacerTV.com.
USMCA has been connecting riders to certified coaches since 2016. There are over 300 active certified coaches on motorcyclecoaching.org, and we recently launched our new mobile app, making it easy to connect with a coach and book your next training session. So here's what you do. Download the Motorcycle Coaching app, then search for coaches and upcoming classes. Once a training session is booked, riders have the option to pay for their class and even get a calendar reminder that will automatically sync to their phone. Get connected today.
Even when you're the best, you never stop striving to be better. With over 40 years of experience in motorcycle sales and service, we know racing. Our inventory of Yamaha motorcycles, sport bikes, dirt bikes, ATVs, and side-by-sides is extensive and constantly changing. Stop by LoJack Cycle Sales today in Tarentum, Pennsylvania, and visit our online inventory at www.lojacks.com. Yamaha YZs. It's why we ride.
Hey guys, Chris Borich here. I ride a Yamaha YFZ 450R in the Pro class at the GNCC. I also run AMSOIL oil in my engines. I run the 10W40 ATV, UTV oil. Had nothing but great luck. We just ran in Florida last weekend in a super hot race, really hard on clutches, and the oil worked great. Pulled the clutches out and they look brand new. So I highly recommend going with AMSOIL.
How would you like to go to a school where we take into consideration how students learn best? Well, we do that because we find if we can build the curriculum around the things you are interested in, you're going to do a better job. The mission at On Track School is that educational success is possible while chasing your dreams. Not only will our staff help students to achieve success, they will cheer you on to the finish line. We encourage you to check out On Track School at ontrackschool.com, where we can help you chase your dreams and still get a quality education.
OnTrackSchool.com. Check it out.
Brown's RV Superstore is family-owned and operated and stake their reputation on offering you the finest RVs available in their McBee, South Carolina RV dealership. Brown's RV Superstore carries motorhomes, fifth wheels, travel trailers, and toy haulers, and keep a huge inventory of new and used RVs in stock for you to choose from. They offer top dollar for your RV trade-in and help you get the RV financing you need. As a part of the GNCC family, Brown's RV Superstore, in partnership with Vengeance Toy Haulers, offers sponsorship packages for every level of racer with discounts and continued savings on your new toy hauler. Brown's RV Superstore has dedicated themselves to complete customer satisfaction, specializing in providing a positive start to your RV adventure. They look forward to customers coming back to share their tales from the road. Call Brown's RV Superstore today at 877-805-3658 or visit their website at brownsrvsuperstore.com, where family fun begins.
And welcome back to GNCC Live on RacerTV.com. Rodney Tomlin, Johnny Gallagher, Stu Baylor, and Mikey Wayne's out and about as we take a look back to 2021. And this race right here might have some significance to our old Stu Baylor here as we get off and rolling there. Jordan Ashburn, who was number 3 last year, number 3 this year, and gets the early lead in the whole shot in this one, Stu. But, man, what a day. It was a little drier out there last year than what it is here this year, it looks like.
Yeah, it was definitely a different Georgia last year, and I was actually way late off the start. My bike did not fire, and somehow managed to go from way out of. I mean, I thought I was almost out of it right off the start. It's tough to make passes when a track's like this. It wasn't as rutted as it is this year, so gave up a lot of time and was able to get back in the lead in like 4 miles. It's just one of those days. I was talking about it last night there. I just felt like everything that could go right went right, and you know, sometimes you get done and you're like, everything that went wrong, what could have gone wrong went wrong, and this was just that day. And you know, you have those in racing, and it's cool when you have those days. You can look back and say, you know, this is one of those races where, you know, just everything worked. And as you can see, I mean, my bike was just really on point here. It really handled these conditions well, and the track is obviously much different this year. A lot more my style. I love this terrain, but you saw Josh Toth and Ben Kelly there last year. Josh had a really good ride here last year, and I think this is just one of those tracks that's significant to him, and he knows how to ride Georgia very well, even in the national enduro side. So Josh is riding very well. Yeah, this was before my loop.
I was going to say that was before all the loop outs and stuff started. So that was even a win before pre-loop out. But man, I mean, another challenging day though. You could see Lane Michael was out of that one. Josh Strang had some issues on that day as well. And again, GNCC, no matter what the course conditions, whether it's muddy, whether it's hard packed and dry like we saw, or you know, and even in Florida. I mean, wow. I mean, this racing is demanding on everyone, I think.
Look at this string of lappers.
Yeah.
Like, if you're the leader catching these guys right now, you might as well just hand 20 seconds over to the guys behind you. And that was my point when I was talking earlier. Like, I don't see the point to try to sprint away right now. Again, guy that's won one race. Don't take my opinion. Stu's won a lot more than I have.
You know, something that I've been noticing, you know, obviously we've been getting larger turnouts, but we've had over 300 riders every race this season so far in the afternoon race. And, you know, typically we're around that 200 mark. If we were getting 250, that was a pretty healthy mark. But when you start getting 300, wow, you see what happens.
Yeah, it makes things much more difficult for the guys coming through at a different pace. And, you know, GNCC is one of the cool series where an amateur can actually race with the pros, unlike anything else. So that is a very cool aspect. At the same time, it does, when you're racing for money, it changes things because you've got to play the lappers properly. And that's the only reason I was saying now's Ben's time to break away, because Ben is actually really good at getting through lappers. I feel that that's one of my strong points, and that's one of the things that he does well. Also, he's very good at planning and seeing what a rider's thinking before they do it. And that's one of those things. It just takes time racing like this and learning the lappers, you know, kind of reading their body and seeing which way they're going to go. So that's I think where I'm just thinking with Ben, kind of seeing how he rides.
So you're not going to be surprised, and probably neither you, Johnny, be surprised if Ben Kelly has maybe made the pass and trying to stretch things out when we see them reappear here at the 10-mile marker.
I won't be surprised at all if he's tried to make the pass, but judging by what I'm seeing on screen, I don't think he's getting away. Like, it's the leader is not going to get away unless, I mean,
and this four bike battle that Stu was referring to could very easily
more likely. And again, we don't have a crystal ball here. Anything's possible. Ben just passed a group of these lappers going into a tight section. He could have a 25-second lead. But the likelihood is that this is going to tighten the racing up rather than spread it out, unless someone makes that big mistake, goes down with the lapper, somehow gets behind. Other than that, I think we're more likely to see a four-rider battle, or not necessarily wheel-to-wheel, but within a 10-second window or so than we are to see somebody stretch it out. I think if you're going to make that sprint, if you're Ben Kelly, if you're Josh Toth trying to make that sprint, if you're Craig DeLong, if you're Trevor Bollinger, you got to seize your opportunity. And I think that's what guys like you, Stu, and Caleb have been so good at in the past, and so many riders is knowing that opportunity and knowing when is the right time to lay wood to it and try to pull away.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, a lot of it, you have to trust your mechanics are going to give you the right information, and I'm sure that Josh and Ben also know that Trevor and Craig are chipping away at that lead. So that's the only reason I really would say there should be a sense of urgency. And with the lappers knowing how Ben rides, I could see him being able to yard some guys right now. But it is tough. I mean, with the amount of lappers, it just obviously we got a short break for the first time in 3 minutes. Yeah. But that's the group that when they catch the tail end of that pack of lappers, that could change the entire outcome of the race, and it could happen very fast depending on who's smart, who's not. Do you tangle with a lapper? Do you take a wrong line and you're shuffled off into a mud hole? And that's where this track is a tough track to lead, and it could go either way. But if I were in Ben's position right now, I think that the best thing to do would be first try to get past my teammate, and then after that, how many lappers can I put between me and the next guy? And so there's always this little gap between lappers. I talk about them falling in. Well, if you can get that 4 or 5 seconds, lappers start falling in and slowing down the next guy in line, and now you can extend it very fast.
Off the radio just a moment ago with senior trail boss Jeff Russell at the 8.1 mile marker. He tells me that no change basically in the lead, still the 206 leading the one, and about 20 seconds back is still Trevor Bollinger and Andrew DeLong. So at 2 miles before this FMF PowerPoint, there had been no changes, but it looks like we've seen at least 2 miles of lap traffic coming through there right now. So I'm beginning to lean towards the question as to whether or not this has tightened up tighter and possibly, like we as race fans hope to be, a 4-way race.
I think a lot of the decision making, I think we have a leader. Nope, wasn't. Thought it was. Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
there it is. So it is Ben Kelly. He's gotten around Josh Toth. We have a new leader, number 1, Ben Kelly, out front, charging, trying to open up a little bit of a gap over Josh Toth. But right there on his rear wheel is his factory FMF Red Bull KTM teammate, and that is Josh Toth. These guys 1 and 2. We've talked about it so many times. This is not a dead storyline, but we'll talk about it one more time. Both from the Northeast, brought here by the Trail Jesters crew about 7 years ago now, come up through this together, and now they're battling wheel to wheel for the lead for the who knows how manyth time in a GNCC race.
Wow, and it looks like this group might have dropped off the pace just a little bit.
Yeah.
See those outside lines, and that's actually a really, really good line. It looks like it's far out there, but that's where, when you're in a group of riders, you can check and see. And so now we're looking at more like 25, 28 seconds. So
and we've lost Craig DeLong.
Yeah.
Now, I think Craig could possibly have been that rider that went through on the bottom of that shot. Can't say for sure. We'll have to wait and watch here. But he might have been that other bike that was kind of going in the lower line as the camera was panning back. It looked like the right gear, looked like the right colors.
And it's funny, Trevor and Craig, I talked to both of them before the race, and both of them made the same comment, like, we always seem to find each other on the track. And once again, 3 races in a row, they're neck and neck, and it's funny, they train together all season long. They or all off season, and now they're coming in and keep finding themselves. And it looks like here's Jordan Ashburn, so still in no man's land, which is really tough to recover from. But it's still an hour and 45 minutes.
But big perspective here, Jordan has really salvaged a day here, to be honest with you, with sitting second in points right now. Fifth place is not going to be bad.
That was 6th and 7th still, I believe. Right behind him was still Stevie Holcomb and Tyler Medaglia. So those guys really latched on to Jordan. They were not on his rear wheel, but they were maybe 3 to 5 seconds back there. And, that's a really good run for those guys, up battling near or, right outside the top 5. If you're Jordan Ashburn, 4th is a good spot to be in, but it also puts you in the catbird seat because, 5th is a good spot to be in. One of those guys has just a little bit of problems in front of you, and, it's just kind of free spots for you. Here's your battle for the lead in XC2. Mike Wachowski now up to 2nd. Looks like Ryder Lafferty, they're still in 3rd, and Cody Barnes in 4th, and still leading the way, the 178 of Lyndon Stein.
I'm not sure. I think, and it could be a lapper that just looked really good, but whoever was right in front of Cody Barnes looked like maybe on a Husqvarna. I couldn't tell. It was a little bit blurry on our end, but maybe another XC2 guy that's found his way up into that group, and here's the leaders on screen.
Yeah, Ben Kelly charging. Josh Toth trying to go with him there. 51 kind of ish. 15:51 as they left that shot. We'll see if we can get a gap back to was 17 seconds last lap back to Trevor Bollinger in 3rd. We know it's probably going to be a little bit more than that this lap. It seems like that gap has opened back up. We think 25 to maybe even 30 seconds. Bollinger should be coming just about any moment here, and we'll see what the gap is back to Craig DeLong if he is still there relatively close to the back of Bollinger.
There's 30 seconds.
30 seconds. And he is. He's right on him. So that must have been him in the camera shot in the low line. And Craig's starting to look a little racy, starting to look impatient, like he wants to make the charge. He wants to get around Bollinger and try and close that gap to the lead duo.
Yeah, I think Craig's getting a little bit more wise as far as the XC1 class. Obviously, really early stepping into this, but in Florida, we talked about the way he let the race kind of play into his day, not necessarily force anything. And I think today we're seeing it again. He's riding where he needs to be. He knows he's close to a podium, and now he might have that sense of urgency to try to catch up to that lead group. And I mean, it's. Obviously, we saw the traffic in front of these guys. It's not out of the question, and there's Jordan Ashburn, and he could catch these guys still. But I think with the amount of traffic coming up, Craig and Trevor still, even though they've gapped out a little over 30 seconds now, it could close up very fast in that group.
And here is Medaglia and Holcomb. So that has actually opened up quite a bit from our last camera shot, just 1 mile. They were maybe 5 to 7 seconds behind Jordan Ashburn at the most. Now it's more like 10 to 12, maybe 15 seconds. So maybe Ashburn turning up the heat. Maybe some lappers got in the way of Holcomb and Medaglia, but either which way, Jordan Ashburn now a little bit of breathing room in that 5th place spot. A little bit of breathing room up front for the number 1, not much, but he does not have a trailer on the back of his number 1 FMF KTM. Instead, he's got a little bit of clear air behind him. Got a lapper in front of him there, going to work his way through the scoring chicane and out, and now we see the 206 of Josh Toth on screen. Toth starting to look a little bit rushed. He definitely does not want to let Ben Kelly get away. He wants to benefit from what Ben Kelly has the first 2 laps of kind of being able to just ride right there in Ben's draft, mental draft, as we've talked about, not have to pick lines, not have to think about breaking points, just kind of check out mentally, chill, hang, do what the guy in front of you does. Ben Kelly does not want to allow Josh Toth to do that because when you're behind, you're saving energy. Look at this. We've seen it almost seems Trevor Bollinger may have let DeLong go there. There was like a hand signal, and I think now it looks like DeLong really on the charge and wanting to go after the lead duo, and we're going to see if Bollinger can latch on and go with him.
Yeah, not sure if that was here, take it, or what was that for? It looked like his hand was his palm up, like, what are you doing? But, he might have been saying take the line. Obviously, Craig is ready to push it, and it's a smart move. If Craig's going a little bit faster, let him go. Yeah. At this position, you can possibly catch up. I think Ben right now is putting the hammer down. It's going to be tough for anybody to catch Ben. I mean, he's already capped out 4 seconds. So I expect to see that lead grow, but this is another one that I want to see. Has Ashburn reeled these guys in any? I want to say last time there was a pretty big gap, a little over a minute.
Well, yeah. Well, the last time they checked in, Jordan Ashburn would have still been in Or no, last time what was the gap back to Ashburn? He may have still been behind Holcomb, and let's see here. We're getting
yeah, so he was 50, a minute 20 seconds roughly from the leaders, and just close to a minute off of pace of Craig DeLong and Trevor Bollinger.
Here we go. Here comes the first round of pit stops. Dump cans in hand in the GNCC tires pit stop. And, Ben Kelly's goggles are hung on his visor. Not too much of a problem. He's able to get them wiped away there, get a fresh set on. Looks like he's taken a drink bottle as well, and he is on the way, still in the lead. Josh Toth having a little bit slower pit, not too much, just a couple seconds, and he'll be off in pursuit of teammate Ben Kelly. So both of those guys taking fuel. Looks like the Rockstar Husky guys are ready as well. So we're assuming the 3 laps complete. Looking like, man, this could be a tough one. This could be a 6-lap race. It could actually stretch to 7. But it looks like everybody's going to stop on this lap nonetheless. Should have the Husky guys checking in here and getting some fuel any moment now. Back to the finish line here. We should see the XC. Oh, here they are, flying in formation.
And it was 44 seconds from the tail of Trevor Bollinger back to the number 3 of Jordan Ashburn. So that gap has closed down just a little bit. But Jordan still got a lot of work, but he does have time to do it. He's got an hour and a half of racing left, or maybe a little more than that.
Yeah, hour and a half of racing left. Jordan Ashburn in the Magna 1 lubricants. Husqvarna pits will be stopping in for fuel here just about any moment. We'll see if we get that on camera. KTM guys checking out how much fuel was used. Part of the calculations that are done in the pits here, folks, they document everything. They want to know how much fuel the guys used. They know what their baseline is, but at each track it's a little bit different. The conditions, how hard these guys are pushing. So they want to know, do we have enough to go on just one stop, even if we go 7 laps, or if it's a 7-lap race, are we going to have to stop and splash again? Again, looking at the lap times, and there is Ashburn on screen. The number 3 machine getting some fuel. His wife Mary there giving him a little bit of words of encouragement, and he is off and in pursuit of the Rockstar teammates in front of him, and just in front of them the Red Bull KTM teammates. So the top 4 off in front of Ashburn. Ashburn solidly in that number 5 place position.
One thing I'm not certain, I saw he lost the position to Steve Holcomb. I've heard that the Beta has to pit 1 lap earlier because of their tank size, so I'm wondering if maybe he actually just did truly lose a position there, or if maybe, I mean, obviously their tent is around out of camera shot, so maybe we're missing that. But now we see Lennon Snodgrass checking in, and there's that battle with Ryder Lafferty, Mike Witowski. And is that another XC2 right in between those? I still can't tell.
It almost looked like it was a Yamaha, and I don't think we've got any other Yamahas up there in XC2 that close to the front. But, yeah, it's an absolute battle going on out there. XC2 lighting it up, 4 riders battling over the lead. And Wachowski was in that 2nd place spot, has dropped back to 3rd. We don't see on camera here, but I'm thinking those guys also would be needing to pit this lap because we're an hour and 20 minutes in. I don't think anyone's going to stretch it forward this early in the race. May not be in their best interest if they're not certain they can make it. That would be pushing 2 hours, at least an hour 50-ish on a tank of fuel.
I think there is. I've heard rumor that there's at least 1 rider that can do that, and it's Josh Toth. I heard he just doesn't burn fuel, so he could possibly pull off a single pit. It would be odd to see, but now we'll see just how big Ben Kelly's gap is back to Josh Toth.
There it is, not much.
No, so it's
just
still
a couple seconds.
5-6 seconds, and it was 4 at the finish. So he's still right there, and obviously a lot of lappers. I doubt they're into that heavy group that we saw on camera that was a few minutes ahead of them earlier.
They're
so they should
closer,
just
though.
be getting close. Yeah.
Ben Kelly looking strong, up on the pegs, flowing, hitting his marks, hitting his lines. Business as usual for BK, the big man of Winstead, Connecticut, out front leading the way. Teammate Josh Toth in 2nd. And, we could talk about that New England connection, but the reality of it is this dirt here, it's super wild how the comment was made to me by one of the WXC riders, Shelby Turner from Canada, said, I thought I knew how to read Georgia clay. She said, but it looks like it has grip and it's slick, and then it looks like it's slick and it has grip. And that's, these guys coming out of New England, they're used to these slick conditions. The wild parts do speak to how strange this racetrack can be when 1 minute, you've got perfect grip and the next minute you're having to play with the throttle just to get traction.
Yeah, I mean, this place has a weird mixture, and it's got these odd sinkholes. Like, the dirt looks really good, and it's so soft you hit it, and it'll throw you over the bars. And it's got so many different dirts. I mean, there's even rocks out here, but there's so much that this track has to offer. But it's very tough as a rider to read all the conditions, like Shelby was saying. And I think the toughest part is, obviously for me, I grew up in the red clay, so I can read the clay very well. What's tough for me is the soft spots, the sinkholes. It looks really good, and what looks good a lot of times here is very deceiving. It's so soft that the ruts will cave back in on themselves. It looks flat, you hit it, and you stuff your bike. And there we see the guys checking out of the bottom of the screen there, still tight, very tight. I think maybe Toth has gotten back closer to the rear wheel with some lappers there.
They'll be coming by this shot here in just a moment. They're kind of going away. They turn, they serpentine, and they come right back to this camera shot. So we will get to see them again here. Just hold your breath, folks. If you're at home, we'll see the battle for the lead coming through, and there it is. Ben Kelly out front still. Josh Toth still lurking right there in the shadows.
Yeah, so he's, I'd say last time we saw him,
little miscue. I don't think he went down, but definitely a miscue. Kind of had got stood up by that rut. Missed
It's that soft spots that
exactly.
Yeah, that is what's odd about this. And honestly, I can't think of another place. The only other place I can think of that shaped up somewhat similar to this as far as the softness of the holes unexpectedly would be certain places at Unadilla or even the Black Sky GNCC. Yeah. There was some weird soft spots. You're just like, Rodney, it's hard to explain. You're just riding along, and one lap, the line is good, and normally a lap, a line will kind of give out over time. So yeah, you got to kind of keep your eyes forward and keep an eye on what's going on. But in this case, it's like rock hard. Next lap, come through same line, and it's gone.
Yeah.
Like, and you're like, wait, there was dirt here.
Maybe even water coming out of it.
And that's what I was going to say. It may be, especially depending on what time of year it is, it could be springs and natural springs that are just laying underneath the ground, and they just get. It takes a while for them to get opened, and once they are, things change there.
Yeah, did we miss our second and third place riders?
I would say so.
We had to when we cut away from
because it's been over a minute, so I'd say we missed them during the pit stop. But yeah, actually, Caleb and I battled here a couple of years ago, and
an epic battle.
The deciding spot. There we had the leader, so we'll see. Obviously, Josh Toth right close behind him there still. And we'll keep an eye on that watch. About at 27:05, whenever Toth came by back to Bollinger or now Craig DeLong. But the kind of the deciding factor of that race was a rut just before. Obviously, I got past there on the motocross track, but we both got hung up in a rut that was solid all day. We jump in it on the last lap and it's gone, and we're both foot racing out of the rut in the final mile of the race. And
we actually had drone footage of that. We didn't have a camera on the ground, but we could see it from above, and we're like, they stopped. Are they talking? What's happening? Craig DeLong, Trevor Bollinger on screen, third and fourth place. So that answers the question.
35 seconds. What were they at the finish line? 42. So. A little chipping away just a little bit.
And they definitely look like they're pushing, and I am impressed that Bollinger, I think Craig, when he kind of caught up to Bollinger, may have been a rev check there, and that's what the hand was about, like, hey, you want to go. And right now Bollinger's matching him pace for pace, and he's staying right there with him, and those guys pushing each other, might be able to close the gap up.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we still, I think they are definitely starting to get into that thick side of lappers where it's going to be one after another, and a lot of things can happen very fast. And yeah, it seems like a bit 35 seconds back, but in the sad reality in GNCC, you never really know what does it mean when you hit those lappers. Like 35 seconds can go in 2 miles, and you not even realize it. You think you went through everything good. Just one mistake with one lap, or another guy has a mistake, you get in a bad line, or you get in a tight section, and there's Jordan Ashburn. So
Stevie Holcomb still right there, latched on. Looks like they've shaken Tyler and Medaglia. Oh, not by too much, but a few seconds there. So, yeah, that's that push, that battle over fifth. Those guys, Holcomb and Medaglia, I mean, solid rides for those guys right now. Yes, not to kind of shine a shadow on it, yes, the class is a little bit depleted, but folks, the XC2 guys are all still out there with the exception of Johnny Gerard, and right now, these guys are pulling away from those very, very fast young XC2 riders. Stevie Holcomb and Tyler Medaglia absolutely on rails out there today.
Yeah, definitely, and Tyler, obviously, motocross, not any off-road background. And here is the XC2 guys on screen. So looks like Ryder Lafferty's lost that second place position, still sitting there in third, and Cody Barnes still checking in right there in the fourth place. And
man, that other rider, if we look,
I'm not seeing anything on camera, but I swear it's been the same bike every time that is right in with those guys. Maybe, I mean, it's a little blurry here, so maybe I'm missing it, but I didn't see anybody. I saw the top four. And it's Linus Snodgrass, Ryder Lafferty, which obviously now has changed to Mike Witowski, Ryder Lafferty, Cody Barnes. And I'm not seeing another name right there in the mix with those guys, but maybe, who's to say a transponder's not reading, but I swear there's been a fast guy right with that group every single time, but maybe it's just a lapper that's catching a win whenever they see him.
Well, Ryder Lafferty really seems to be on a pretty good roll here today, especially duking it out with Snodgrass, who's been consistently up front riding with Mike Wachowski, and now dropping back to the number 3 spot. He's in a really good position, and we had his Uncle Mike in here with us last week, and we got a chance to know a little bit more about him and a little bit more about Ryder as well, and we actually caught up with Ryder leading into this weekend.
So if you remember, when we came back from COVID, what do you say when we come back from this? We'll do a short talk and then go to run. What do you say when this is over?
Man, remarkable how much he reminds you of Michael, actually. But, Stu, you were saying there just a moment ago while we were listening to this that, we've seen a good ride out of Ryder Lafferty here in Georgia before. And I believe if we look back to the return from COVID is what you were talking about.
Yeah, whenever he first came back from that little break, obviously we started back here in Georgia a little bit later than normal, a little bit drier track. And I want to say he was 4th overall and a really good ride. Obviously, Ryder's that mentality side it can carry you through a lot.
It most certainly can. We'll see what it carries him through today as we continue to roll through this Specialized General GNCC, and we'll be back with more as we still have about an hour and 30 minutes of racing left here. Round number 3, GNCC Live, continues after this.
We all have our reasons to accomplish, to work hard. We share a common goal, to be the best. Keep fighting, put in the work, never take the easy way. Your drive and determination fuels our passion.
Born of family values and a homegrown work ethic, Cometic Gaskets seals your machine so you can focus on the finish line. Cometic Gaskets are the competitive standard for racers who demand the very best. Cometic Gaskets are constructed from superior materials designed to perform in the most demanding environment, whether it's championships on the line or a day in the dirt with friends. Professionals and enthusiasts depend on Cometic. Cometic Gaskets, sealing championships since 1989.
Amsoil runs on freedom and has since 1972. We punish our products firsthand in our world-class laboratories and beyond, because some things can't be learned from a test tube. Run with us.
This Racer TV broadcast is brought to you by Specialized. Specialized Turbo e-bikes. It's you, only faster. And by Rocky Mountain ATV MC. Get ready. This week in Yamaha history takes us back to March 13th, 2011 at the General GNCC with names like Thad Duvall, Corey Buttrick, Nate Caney, Charlie Mullins, Garrett Edmondson, Jimmy Jarrett, Russell Bobbitt, Mike Lafferty, and so many more. The day got off to a great day. Nate Caney out front early on and, of course, was one of your contenders as they made their way around this race course. Josh Strang leading on the number 1 machine early on as he was your defending champion from the 2010 season. But it was a host of riders that was right behind him in the early part of the race. By the end of lap number 1, the lead change had been switched over to Nate Caney, where Nate Caney was able to hold on to that lead until lap number 2, where he was relinquished that lead to Paul Whibley. From that point on, the AmPro Yamaha rider took to the helm and never looked back as he was able to continue the lead all the way through the very end of the race. Josh Strang having a great day back there in the number 2 spot, was able to hold on to second, and Thad Duvall, young gun he was, holding on to a number 3 spot. Another rider we look back to, Caleb Russell, as an XC1 Pro rider, finishing 16th on the day, but it was all Paul Whibley taking the glory and taking the win on this day in Yamaha history. And welcome back to GNCC Live here on RacerTV.com. Rodney Tomlin along with Johnny Gallagher, Mikey Waynes, and special in-studio guest this week, one Stu Baylor, who, won this one a year ago, and the way the tides turn, he is back here with us. Not as healthy as he would like to be, but I'll tell you, we're blessed to have you in our presence, Stu. Glad to have you out here with us as we roll through this one. You know, we talk about history. We left this one for a few years after our previous property owner, Perry Gunther, passed away, and the facility changing hand over the course of a few years before Mark and Sherry Ridgway were able to take over the helm of Aonia Pass. And since that time, we've been coming back here. But I tell you, before that and since that, this place has been so storied, and a lot of great tales here. It's been either the second or the third round of GNCC racing on the circuit for so many years, and it's still kind of a stage-setting round of racing as we're still trying to figure out what's going to happen as far as championships are concerned.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you got to look. We started on Big Buck, which is a very hard packed track. Even though the woods look the same, it's very different from Georgia. We go to Florida now, sand, obviously very different than what most guys ride through the winter. I know the pros are moving down there. The majority of pros are moving down there and staying during the winter. But then we go to Georgia, which is loamy, soft, rutted, almost shapes up like an outdoor national, and it's just gnarly. Like it's a different dirt. So three totally different rounds. So if you come out of all three of those and you're sitting pretty good, chances are you're going to have a pretty good year. So I think it's obvious at this point that we're seeing who's probably going to have a pretty good year looking at it.
Well, it looks like Ben Kelly is certainly on track for that. There's no doubt about that. But, another rider that I think is on track for a good year is Jordan Ashburn, man. I mean, I know he's having his struggles today with that electrical issue there. I believe it was on lap number 1. But, look at the big picture. He's riding, he's pushing, he's trying to salvage as many points as possible. And as we look back through right now, Ashburn is actually riding not only 5th in class now, but he has moved up all the way to 5th place overall. And that says a lot as far as the points are concerned, because at one point he was back as far as 9th place overall, even though he was still running top 5 or 6 in the class. It took him a while to get back in that time adjustment 5th place position. Now he's there, and as we look at that, he is looking at now only a 44-second gap. He lost about 1 minute and 10 seconds with his issue on that lap as far as the leaders were concerned. So he is starting to shave a little bit of time on the podium. Now, will he have enough time with just over an hour of racing, or about an hour of racing left in this one? Because I think we just got the official word. We're looking at a 6-lap race, guys.
6 laps, so it's going to be a little on the short side, but it's still definitely, these guys are going to be ready for it to be over, because you were talking so much about this track and kind of how it differs from the first 2 rounds of racing. And I think the biggest thing is this one gets rough. Here is your leader. That is the number 1 of Ben Kelly out front. We'll see what the gap is as he comes through here at the 10-mile marker. Does not even seem that we have Josh Toth in the camera shot just yet, so it's definitely opened up just a little bit.
There's
nothing too crazy, but it's definitely at this point we're talking bike lengths. He's opened it up a couple bike lengths every time we see him, and that could change rapidly with some lappers. Josh could be right back on his rear wheel, or like we talked about, if he's able to use those lappers as a pick, use them to his advantage, we might see it open up even more.
A question I got, we don't do a lot of back-to-back weekends in GNCC. Generally, it's just the Florida round and the Georgia round that we see that happening in. And I know that racers, they race every weekend, but I have to wonder, knowing that, it's different disciplines and the intensity rates are a little bit different at different events and things like that. And I know that GNCC seems to be a little more demanding maybe than some. Is it tough to run back-to-back weekends for GNCCs? Our third-place rider checks in now.
I mean, I know it seems to me more or less getting everything prepared back-to-back weekends, not necessarily your body or anything like that. I mean, it is demanding, especially if you got dehydrated down in Florida. But a lot of us know how to maintain that now. It's the fact of going down to Florida for 3 or 4 days, and usually most guys go down for a week before, stay the week during. So you're getting ready on the road, and that's what seems to make it a little bit tough going back-to-back weekends.
Looks like a little bit of a gap, Johnny, opening up between 3rd and 4th right now.
42.50 as he came past that FMF banner there in the FMF PowerPoint. We'll see what it is back to Jordan Ashburn, Stevie Holcomb, and Tyler Medaglia. Wouldn't be surprised if we see that gap is starting to tighten up now that Bollinger's lost some time on DeLong.
Now, continuing on that same thought while we watch this race, Johnny, from an ATV standpoint and from a rider that's been around for several generations of types of racing, and I mean that with all the respect in the world, but at the time when racers would race themselves into shape, what's the difference? I mean, it was probably a lot more demanding, say, 10, 15 years ago than what it is now.
So it's looking like it's about 45 seconds back to Ashburn still. And we'll see if he does still have a tail there. So that is your 5th place rider there on screen, looking like he now has opened it up. Over, still no. There is Medaglia now up to 6th and Holcomb 7th. So those two have swapped positions. Rodney, historically, Ben Kelly on screen at the 11-mile marker, still doing everything he can do to try and stretch it out. You can see him absorbing that hard hit there in that soft spot with those big, long legs. Josh Toth doesn't have that advantage, so he uses the, the suspension of the machine. Ben Kelly says, I don't need that. I got, I'm 6'9". I just suck it up with my legs. But, yeah, historically, I think the back-to-back weekends was harder when guys weren't training as much, when understanding of nutrition wasn't as good. Like Stu said, I think from a racer and honestly from a team standpoint, the biggest challenge of this on-screen FMF PowerPoint, XC2 leader Lyndon Snodgrass, the 178 machine, a rider that had some flashes of brilliance last year, has been consistently running up front, but now he's opened up a sizable gap over. Is this No, we've not even seen the second place ride unless we missed them.
We slipped. We could have missed Mike Witowski. He was right there behind him last time, and Mike's been really strong this year. I find it hard to believe that he went that far back, but we could have.
There is DeLong there at the 11-mile marker, so that's your third place rider, and Trevor Bollinger, we know, was a little bit back further. Hardest thing of this week, Rodney, I agree with Stu 100%, the prep. Again, not the physical prep, but the mechanics to get the bikes ready, the whole team crew to get the everything transported up here, cleaned up, ready to put on a show again, and ready to get the job done out here back-to-back weekends. But we all know it's on the schedule, it's part of it, and we do the best we can to prepare for it. I think where it becomes a bigger challenge is if you do have issues in Florida that you have to recover from, either physically or mechanically, it creates a bigger set of challenges.
And you guys probably see a lot of that on the quad side, because from what I heard, I don't know, obviously I don't know the quads, but it seems like Florida's one of the ones that's very, very tough on equipment down there, and you guys obviously have double the wheels and double the work.
Yeah, it can be a challenge. Ben Kelly coming into the finish line. It was a challenging week, to say the least, for a lot of us.
Yeah, because you had a little bit of trouble to rebound from.
Yeah, we had some stuff going on. Luckily, we have extra bikes and extra stuff, and we're able to obviously get here and get prepared. It's stressful, but we made it work, and I think it's just another one of those things in GNCC racing that makes it so special. Back-to-back weekends, testing yourself, testing your team, and Josh Toth testing his rear tire, testing the grip of that Dunlop 81, and
that's the ground you were talking about. It looks like it has traction, and then it's not there.
Yeah, the corner before that, piles of traction. That one, none. So, welcome to Georgia, Josh Toth, and he did well here last year. Obviously, riding very, very well here today. Solidly in that second place position. We've seen Josh have great speed throughout over 2 hours of racing. It seems in Big Buck, now mind you, he finished fourth, but Big Buck, he seemed to struggle a little bit that last lap, dropping ultimately from second to fourth. Mike Witkowski, full set. Ryder Lafferty looked like they're in second, and that may have just been, now there it is, Lyndon Snodgrass. So it's both Lafferty and it's possible Cody Barnes. There was another bike there as well.
I think you're right. I think Cody Barnes was also in that little group. So maybe Snodgrass fell down, made a mistake. I know from rumors, I think he's riding injured. I think I heard a broken hand and a broken foot. So I got to commend him. Obviously, I don't condone people riding injured.
Yeah, because you would do that.
No, I mean it's tough to line up. It's really tough to line up injured, and that's what he's done. So there's Cody Barnes. Yeah. So he has actually fallen off. So just those top two kind of putting on a charge, and obviously Witowski wanted to get away, but Ryder Lafferty, this is one of those tracks, and as we talk about it so much, the mental side of things. Breakthrough rides. This is where Ryder had his first breakthrough, and I think we could see him contending for a win all day.
Tell you what, we almost saw a breakthrough moment for Mike Witkowski as his back end got all kinds of risky through that section. Ben Kelly on screen through the GBC Tires pit stop, coming down here through Pro Row, taking a look over at the mechanics, getting a signboard, finding out what the gap is. One thing you notice about Ben, not a lot of looking back. A lot of times riders, when they're leading, they'll take that glance over their shoulder, see where the guys are. Ben seems to be just charge forward, charge ahead. He knows Josh is back there. Now Jordan Ashburn, the fifth place rider, checking through with now 4 laps complete.
Well, so look at the tape on this one now with 4 laps. 9.8 seconds between first and second, Kelly and Toth. Another 54 seconds. They have now stretched it out a little bit over Craig DeLong and Trevor Bollinger. Bollinger's actually 25 seconds back of DeLong now. Jordan Ashburn would read in at 51.5 seconds behind Trevor Bollinger. So Tyler Medaglia running only 3 seconds behind Jordan Ashburn, and Steve Holcomb another 2 seconds back. So it's kind of a battle for the top 5 positions, that 5th place position now.
Battle on screen for the XC2 lead. Out front it is Mike Witkowski. Second place Ryder Lafferty, really just all over him there, just sitting right on the rear wheel. Seems like everything that Mike Witkowski's throwing at it, at this moment at least, Ryder Lafferty has an answer for. Craig DeLong, third place rider through the GBC Tires pit stop and off to further himself into lap number 4.
Interesting note to look at here. We've got more riders now vying for top 5s here in the overall, as when Witkowski and Lafferty check in. Witkowski was only 1 second behind Jordan Ashburn on adjusted time. It literally dropped with Witkowski and Ryder Lafferty so close together. It dropped both Medaglia and Holcomb to 8th and 9th place overall, so we got 6th and 7th for the XC2. So rolling on through here as we continue to watch more riders check in. Snodgrass is through, we see, obviously. He is back, looks like, wow, only 6.8 seconds back now.
Yeah, and we're still waiting for Cody Barnes to check in, the 4th place rider in that XC2 class. He was a rider that's been up in that battle, the thick of a podium battle, all race so far. So an hour and 50 minutes into this one, something changing there and dropping him back outside of the battle there for the top 3. Don't know if he has checked in yet with 4 laps complete. I don't think we've seen him on screen yet. So we'll wait and we'll watch and see if we do get him checking in here. Thorne Devlin, another rider, will be in the lookout for in that XC2 Pro Lights class. But that's definitely developing. Don't know if Cody Barnes had an issue, possibly connected with the lapper, or just had an off lap. Man, the pace that those top XC2 guys are pushing right now, as was pointed out, they've actually gone and closed up the gap to I thought that was a Medaglia for a second, but it's not. But it is your XC2 leader, Mike Witkowski. Just behind him there, Ryder Lafferty will switch over to the Monster Mile. Ben Kelly coming through at the 2-mile marker. And you can see, Stu, just how rough that course is getting.
Yeah, definitely. And I like what Ben's doing. He's using a lot of the outsides. And this is one of those tracks it starts to play favor. I mentioned it earlier when he was kind of stalking his prey. The outsides are something that he was using. He was trying to figure out, is this line going to be fast later? And that's what he's done. You know, that line actually where he just went on that low line prior to that when he first came into screen was where he passed Jordan Ashburn. He was on the high line, the inside line early in the race, and he's now shifted to the outside to find a little bit smoother. Obviously still extremely gnarly as this track breaks down, but I think Ben just played it really smart, and now he's on a little bit different line that's going to allow him to save a little bit more energy.
Shifting gears for just a moment, guys. Got some house cleaning to do. Got a light blue minivan parked down by Ryder registration. It's got South Carolina tags, UY1694. UY1694, South Carolina tags. Light blue minivan parked near registration. You're blocking some folks in. They are needing to get out, so if you can please move that as soon as possible. Light blue minivan, South Carolina tags, UY1694. If you got a light blue minivan, you need to move it. Thanks. Back to racing action now as we check in. We've got about 22 minutes before we'll be in for lap 5 complete, and that should be a white flag lap here. So these riders on the 2-lap board, I guess you could say, and we're just now approaching that 2-hour mark. And I think you're right, guys. I think we're going to be under that 3-hour mark, but still a little longer than 240 mark, which is, I think, the mark that we're looking at and looking for as far as to try to make a complete GNCC for these afternoon riders. But we're going to be right there in that neighborhood. We don't want it to be too long, and obviously these riders know where they're at now. They know what they got to do, and they've got this time and this pace in their head. So these next couple of laps are going to be pretty interesting, I think, lap and a half especially.
As we see Ben Kelly coming through at the Monster Mile on the backside of the 2-mile marker, a little further ahead, you can see definitely pushing, using those long legs. Little update from our producer, Adam Gordon. I had called out incorrectly that Ben Kelly is 6'9". Actually, he is 6'2", and per the KTM website, Josh Toth 5'9". So only 3 inches difference between the two. They might only be 3 inches different, but their legs are 14 inches different. Ben Kelly's legs, I'm stamping it right now, if you measure his inseam, 14 inches longer than Josh Toth's.
The same as a man 6'9", right?
Yes, he's 6'9" with 6'3" of legs.
All right, so rolling through an hour and now, like we say, 54 minutes into this one. Still out the Monster Mile. This is still early in lap number 5 as we roll through this one. Now, as we are in that second hour, and, you know, we've talked about endurance and stuff, it seems like this next hour is where so many things start to change. If a rider has that endurance and has that strength to dig deep and make that push, you see him push ahead. Then you see other riders start to fall off. What are we looking at? What are you seeing over the next two laps? Lap and a half, I guess, would probably be more accurate to say, Stu.
I mean, I really don't see any changes as far as results go right here in the XC1 class. I think these guys have kind of fallen into place and into their pace, and it would take a screw up from Ben Kelly, which is possible, but I doubt it. The way that he's riding is very precise right now. Josh Toth has a big cushion back to Craig DeLong, decent cushion back to Trevor Bollinger, and although Ashburn's back there, he hasn't made any ground on that fourth place position. So I think XC1, I don't think we're going to see much changes. Obviously, probably the gap stretching out or moving, maybe a little yo-yo here and there, as we saw Josh Toth just come through, and he's well beyond that 6-7 seconds that we saw him last behind Ben. So, as I expected, Ben kind of stalked his prey, did what he needed to do, very smart, and put himself in a good position to win this one. Again, things can change, things can happen, but XC2 is where the excitement, and I think the storyline is going to fall today. Ryder Lafferty, very strong. Mike Witowski, very strong. Now, I looked back through some lap times. Both of those guys had a little bit of fade there. The last lap at Big Buck, both of them faded a little bit towards the end, which could also play into more good racing. Like who's gonna be the smartest? Who's gonna be the last one to strike? It's time to make a move if Ryder wants it, but at the same time, he could give it away. And there we see Craig DeLong coming through. Next should be Trevor Bollinger, a good 20 seconds back, and then close to 45 back from him would be Jordan Ashburn, if nothing has changed. But then the next thing on screen will be that XC2 battle, and that's where I think the excitement's going to come. And we've seen Mike trying this high line every time. It's slightly, he's hitting it very fast, but it's one of those that exerts a lot of energy. So I think that Ryder, if he does it, times this, that we could see a pass on screen here because Mike seems to keep going after that high line. There's Trevor Bollinger now. And you see all these XC1 guys are hitting this low line. The only one we've seen up top was Mike. And maybe Johnny, you would probably know this section a little better than me.
I pedaled that this morning again. I was out there just checking some stuff out. I have my mornings off, so I like to go explore things on Sunday mornings now. But that upper line, it's a little more direct. It's a straighter shot. But the dips are a little deeper, and more importantly than anything, there's more roots in that upper line, especially you can see them there on the right where it comes back in. So you're really playing with fire as those roots get more and more polished off. Easy to wash the front end through there. Mike, obviously a very accomplished rider. He knows how to pick a line, but he's definitely taking a chance running that upper line. It's just a little bit more risky, in my opinion, of a line. Wow, look at this. Have they gotten around? Did we miss Jordan Ashburn? No, there is Ashburn.
Yeah, so now Tyler Medaglia and Steve Holcomb.
Stevie Holcomb both have gotten around Jordan Ashburn. Jordan Ashburn looking like he was on fire a few laps ago, still charging. But, man, those two guys behind him now up to 5th and 6th. Jordan Ashburn dropping back to 7th. So that could loom large for the points. Jordan Ashburn currently sitting in the 2nd place position in points. And right now, okay, here comes your XC2 leaders. The second bike you're going to see on screen here is Mike Wachowski. Now has switched to that low line. No longer running that high line. And also has shaken Ryder Lafferty for the first time so far. Hour and 57 minutes into it. Lyndon Snodgrass now up to 2nd. Ryder Lafferty there in 3rd, it looks like. So we've got the top 3 through in the XC2 Pro Lights class, but Mike Wachowski opening up the gap.
Man, it seems like a real slugfest back there. The pros have kind of stretched things out on the XC1 side of things, and the pros in the XC2 250 class is really giving us the show today, it looks like.
Yeah, it's, these guys are like prize fighters, man. They just keep throwing haymaker after haymaker, and eventually one will stick. And I think that's, Ben Kelly Ben Kelly's the jab guy. He's not throwing the big punches. He's going to wear him down with the jabs. He puts in a little sprint. He checks his gap. Stu, I think, is a big punch thrower right off the gap. If he gets a decent start, which he never does, we see him, when he gets to the front, it's immediately with the uppercuts, it's the haymakers. He's all the way down.
And he's got to talk ahead of time like Muhammad Stuli or something like that.
pretending his shoelaces are untied, and then he stands up and uppercuts you. He takes those big gaps and he gets those big, those big leads and puts the hurt into the competition. And right now, I think Ben Kelly's got Josh Toth on the ropes a little bit. Not to say that Josh may not start punching back, but right now Ben's the one throwing all the punches. So XC2, we know how that goes. That's just haymakers all day.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no rhyme or reason to what they're doing. They're there to win, and they don't know. All they know is that guy's right there in sight.
Yeah. Fast. Go fast.
I'll tell you what, it certainly is an interesting one, no doubt about it. Ben Kelly continues to lead in the XC1 Pro class, and, of course, Josh Toth second, and third place, Craig DeLong. But the excitement, I think, right now might be back for the XC2. Is Wachowski going to be able to hang on for the win in that one? Stick around to find out. GNCC Live continues after this.
USMCA has been connecting riders to certified coaches since 2016. There are over 300 active certified coaches on motorcyclecoaching.org, and we recently launched our new mobile app, making it easy to connect with a coach and book your next training session. So here's what you do. Download the Motorcycle Coaching app, then search for coaches and upcoming classes. Once a training session is booked, riders have the option to pay for their class and even get a calendar reminder that will automatically sync to their phone. Get connected today.
Even when you're the best, you never stop striving to be better. With over 40 years of experience in motorcycle sales and service, we know racing. Our inventory of Yamaha motorcycles, sport bikes, dirt bikes, ATVs, and side-by-sides is extensive and constantly changing. Stop by LoJack Cycle Sales today in Tarentum, Pennsylvania, and visit our online inventory at www.lojacks.com. Yamaha YZs. It's why we ride.
How would you like to go to a school where we take into consideration how students learn best? Well, we do that because we find if we can build the curriculum around the things you are interested in, you're going to do a better job. The mission at On Track School is that educational success is possible while chasing your dreams. Not only will our staff help students to achieve success, they will cheer you on to the finish line. We encourage you to check out On Track School at ontrackschool.com, where we can help you chase your dreams and still get a quality education.
OnTrackSchool.com. Check it out.
Brown's RV Superstore is family owned and operated and stake their reputation on offering you the finest RVs available in their McBee, South Carolina RV dealership. Brown's RV Superstore carries motorhomes, fifth wheels, travel trailers, and toy haulers, and keep a huge inventory of new and used RVs in stock for you to choose from. They offer top dollar for your RV trade-in and help you get the RV financing you need. As a part of the GNCC family, Brown's RV Superstore, in partnership with Vengeance Toy Haulers, offers sponsorship packages for every level of racer with discounts and continued savings on your new toy hauler. Brown's RV Superstore has dedicated themselves to complete customer satisfaction, specializing in providing a positive start to your RV adventure. They look forward to customers coming back to share their tales from the road. Call Brown's RV Superstore today at 877-805-3658 or visit their website at brownsrvsuperstore.com, where family fun begins.
And welcome back to GNCC Live on RacerTV.com. Rodney Tomlin, Johnny Gallagher, Stu Baylor, and Mikey Waynes out and about as we take a look at the action from last night's round one of the Specialized Turbo EMTB GNCC Series. And, of course, a rather cool evening. The wind started dying down, but it was still a little chilly, but perfect for racing as things got off and rolling. It was Nick Mackey and Charlie Mullins back out front once again doing what they do best, and that is battling wheel to wheel through the first two laps. What you're seeing right now is pretty much what you get, and Charlie pretty much shadowing Nick the entire time. Talking to Charlie, you know, he didn't get a lot of riding time in this winter living up in Grove City, Pennsylvania, so he didn't have a lot of bike fitness, so to speak, but he did do a lot of training indoors on the stationary bike and things, but definitely not what you get out here in the woods. So he was happy to get back out. Now, Nick's spent a little bit more time outside being from Florida, but when it came down to the nitty-gritty in that one, it got pretty exciting. Another great battle was shaping up as well for the XC2 Pro class in that one, where Talon Hawk is a young up-and-comer, the son of Barry Hawk, leading a good portion of that race and then running top 5 and finishing second in that class. But when it was all said and done, when we came down to the wire here for the XC1 class. 3 laps of racing. We didn't know what to expect for sure, but as the sun began to set, Charlie Mullins emerged from the woods victorious with another win here in EMTB GNCC. It was Cypress Gorey in the number 3 spot. Ty Teasdale was your XC2 winner in that class. He took 4th overall. And looks like Rogerio Vallejo actually took 5th overall, which Talon Hawk still, I believe, took 2nd in his class and top 6. So we've got some really cool up-and-comers, I think, in that the EMTB GNCC, if truth be told, Johnny.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of battling going on there. Rodney, I have a bone to pick with you. I didn't tell you this, but I figured I'd save it for on air. I was planning on racing the e-bike race, and I missed it, and it's all your fault.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what happened, but I was getting pretty cold when I came off after the ATV race. Obviously, went in the camper to get warmed up, grabbed a hot shower, came out, and I knew it was going to be delayed a little bit, and at like 5:20-something, they must have been playing like a highlight reel or something on the PA, and I heard you call 10 seconds, and I turned to somebody and said, did they already start the e-bike race? And they said, yeah, they must have just started. I heard the 10-second call, and I said, well, it was kind of a last-minute thing. I decided I was going to do it. I said, well, we'll just hit the next one. Got the trailer just about all loaded up. I was there hanging out, helping Mark and the boys get loaded up to head back to Ohio, and I turned and looked, and I said, what's going on over there by the pro pits, the bike pro pits? And they said, oh, the EMTB race is getting ready to take off. This is 40 minutes later, at about 6 o'clock. I said, what? No, it started already. They said, no, they're just starting now. They've been on a delay. By that time, it was too late. We put stuff away. I was like, I swear I heard the 10 seconds. There's 4 or 5 other people. We all heard it. So they were playing like a highlight loop or something you did. I thought they started the e-bike race. They didn't. Now I'm upset. I missed. I tell you what, I was going to be out there a force to be reckoned with in the 40-plus class.
I was wondering where you were, Johnny. I'm excited. All right. Last night while all that was going on, while we were getting that underway, they also had another exciting bike race going on.
I tried to enter this one as well. They said I was too old.
That one you may be able to get a little kid or something to go out there, and maybe a nephew or a niece, something, Johnny, and bring them out and do this. But this right here has become a great Saturday evening activity for the youth and the parents alike. You see kids everywhere from 2 years old to about 5 or 6 out there on these STACYC stability cycles that are literally creating a whole different beast as far as racer is concerned. These kids are coming into 50cc motorcycles already knowing how to pick lines, knowing how to ride, and how to manipulate their machine the way that they want to. And I think we had about 50 kids, 60 kids out there again last night. Florida, we had another big turnout. I mean, I think in South Carolina we had somewhere around 100 of those kids turning out for Saturday night. And as cold as it was last night, I can't believe they were out there. But, man, they kept the spirits warm. Got to give a hats off to Griff Cotter, man. He does an amazing job. He and also Trevor Russell, they do a great job putting that together, organizing DJ Judge down there with the meet and keeping the action and the entertainment alive.
You hit the nail on the head, Rodney. Troopers, those little kids, the e-bike racers, same. I mean, we can't control the weather, and it was cold and windy yesterday when the ATV race finished. I was standing outside, and it's like, you're fine. I'll be honest. When I was racing, I was okay except for my fingertips. The minute I stopped, the wind just ripped through you, and those guys are absolute troopers out there. Those little guys and gals just killing it in that STACYC bike.
Johnny, do you use twist throttle or thumb throttle?
I do. I'm a twist guy.
You're a twist guy. I wonder about that. And honestly, that's one of the hardest things for me about riding in the cold on an ATV is that thumb throttle. Well, my thumb always gets cold. So I wonder if maybe that would be an advantage to use the twist throttle in the cooler temperatures like that, especially.
I've always been a twist guy, so I can ride a thumb. If Walker was in here, which thankfully we don't give him a microphone except on the podium because nobody has that kind of time. Walker, if you're listening or drive back to Florida, love you, buddy. I can actually go fast ish on a thumb, but for a grand total of about 15 minutes. And then my thumb kind of gives out and I get cramping in my palm because I'm not used to it. I'm sure if I rode it enough, I would and could get used to it. But for me, my dad was a bike guy. I grew up, I only ever started racing ATVs essentially because my mom said dirt bikes were too dangerous. I wasn't allowed to have one. So dad was like, oh, well, sweet, we'll get him a three-wheeler. Three-wheelers are safe. They're not going to do 60 minutes expose. Here is Ben Kelly on screen. Probably never ridden a three-wheeler. Don't even think he was born yet when three-wheelers were a thing. He definitely wasn't. I know that. But one thing he does know for sure is how to go fast here at the FMF PowerPoint at the 10-mile marker. Again, 6'9" with 6'3" of legs on screen, soaking up the rough stuff. Josh Toth starting to get a little bit further behind. That gap is growing ever so slightly, and we'll see what it is here when he does check in at the FMF PowerPoint. I don't think he was one of those, definitely, I wouldn't say definitely, but most likely not. There is Toth. Can recognize that at Rye helmet from a mile away. Still smooth and fluid, scrolling along through here, but he's giving up time to Ben Kelly at this time. They're going to come through. This will be 5 laps complete, which means there will be a white flag waving. Can Josh Toth close the gap to Ben Kelly? Can he hold off the charging Craig DeLong? Rodney, you're the hype man. What do you think?
I don't know. I think that right now Ben Kelly is on a different level. Be it because some riders out, be it not because of that, he's just on that level. I think that, after watching that first round and seeing what we saw in South Carolina, these are the types of rides that we would have been seeing out of Ben, regardless if Stu was still there, regardless if Lane or anybody else was still there knocking on the door. He would be the rider that they would have to be being beat. He literally would be, in my opinion, probably drawing the line in the sand at every round.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to disagree. Ben was making a statement. Here is Craig DeLong, your third-place rider on screen. And, Rodney, maybe we've not talked about this enough yet. Craig DeLong, third place. Rookie XC1 rider. Yes, he has an XC1 podium at Ironman, but that was a gnarly mud race of attrition, of, riders dropping out left and right. Craig DeLong right now doing it the hard way. Yeah. He's out there grinding it out, just absolutely fighting for it, and this will, with this ride, move him up to third place. Actually, depending on where Jordan Ashburn finishes, it's going to be close. We'll have to do some maths.
I think it should solidify third. And coming into the weekend, and even in the opening statements when Mikey and I were opening the show today, that's one of the things that I pointed out, that, Craig was kind of my pick to be the next guy that would be running with Ben Kelly, along with, obviously, Josh Toth and Jordan Ashburn. I didn't expand on that, but, I was expecting and anticipating the arrival of Craig here pretty soon, mainly because he has to do it. There's nobody else out there to do it right now, and I think a lot of weight is being put on his shoulders.
There is Ben Kelly through at the 11-mile marker. We did see Trevor Bollinger check in there at the 10, still solidly in that fourth-place spot, and last we'd seen actually had opened up a little bit more of a gap over Jordan Ashburn, who now actually was all the way back to 7th. It was Tyler Medaglia in the 5th-place spot, then Stevie Holcomb at 6th, and Ashburn back to 7th. So, yeah, Craig DeLong, I think he's always been a solid guy, but Craig's one of those guys, he doesn't make the wild meteoric jumps from week to week. He's a grinder. It's a little better this week than the week before, and we're seeing that this year. And here is Josh Toth on screen. Definitely much better this week than he was a week ago in Florida. Was very fast in Florida, was up contending for a podium position, I think sitting in 4th place when we saw him. Essentially, I think he hit his head, had a crash, got up from the crash, and they said the effects of the dehydration and heat exhaustion really hit him. I saw him after the race. He looked in rough shape, shaking uncontrollably. The chills, they were doing the best they could to get him medical attention. Obviously, they did a phenomenal job, he and his team, of getting him taken care of and getting him on the mend, because here we are 7 days later, and he's out there competing at the highest level and doing very, very well.
I'll tell you, one saving grace about this week, too, is the temperatures being a little cooler.
Nope. It's not a saving grace. I hate it.
Well, I know that you hate it, but when you take into consideration, if we raced in 80-degry temperatures, pushing 90, like we did, I think we did that last year before here at the the general GNCC. Back-to-back weekends like that would be very tough on these guys, even with the recovery time that they have, I think.
Yeah, it definitely takes it out of you doing it back-to-back weeks. Craig DeLong now through the third-place rider in the XC1 class and overall at the 11-mile marker. DeLong, again, that 3:42 on the Rockstar Energy Husqvarna team has been battling race long and honestly season long with his teammate Craig DeLong. It's been pointed out multiple times they tend to find each other around this corner, and finding a white flag will be the number one of Ben Kelly. There it is, Ricky Towery with the white flag waving, lapped rider in the way. Ben Kelly doing a little head motion like, hey, you want to move to the side? I'm going to go through and I'm going to try and charge this last lap and give myself a little breathing room. Rodney, you've got the live timing and scoring. You'll tell us what the gap is here in just a moment. When Josh Toth checks in, should be coming out of this corner just about any minute now.
Well, I will say this. Already, Ben Kelly impressively under the 28-minute mark. We've been seeing that 28:20, 28:15, 28:14. He just turned in a 27:47.
That's a charge.
Yeah, that's a real charge he was able to put in. Is now finally Josh Toth, I believe, making his way around. Now, a lap ago, it was 9.8 seconds. Josh Toth turned a 28:20 lap time his last time around, and as we wrap up lap number 5, we see the gap has now expanded to 43 seconds between first and second, and a full minute longer on that lap time at a 28:20, rather a 20. No, actually, that's exactly the same lap time.
That's kind of what I was anticipating.
I was going to say, yeah, he stayed the same. Ben Kelly actually picked it up.
Yeah, so, you know, if you're at home and you're watching, you're thinking, oh, you know, Josh just must have slowed down and Ben got away. No, Ben Kelly turned it up. Josh Toth, identical lap times to lap number 4 and lap number 5. He did not slow down. He's not getting tired. Ben Kelly
slow down.
Well, he may be getting tired, but he didn't slow down. He put
that's
in the
impressive.
Exact same lap
I mean,
time.
when you 28:20.4 this time around, I think it was a 28:20.7 or something last time. So he's a little faster.
XC2 by there at the 11-mile marker. Caught the jersey Wachowski. Couldn't tell for sure if it was him alone out front. We do think that is the case. Now, Craig DeLong checking in. Rodney, what's the tail of the tape?
All right, 54 seconds at the end of lap number 4. He turned a 28:31 on lap 4, and at the end of lap number 5, 55.5 seconds and a 28:21. So not a whole lot of time necessarily lost. So he stayed pretty consistent.
Identical lap times.
Yeah.
1 second slower than Josh Toth. So a faster lap than the lap previous. But again, he goes faster. The guy in front of him stays the same. He goes faster, but loses 1 second to Josh Toth, and then Ben Kelly putting down a heater, and what was roughly 35 seconds faster than both of those guys that lap.
All right.
Ben Kelly here through the GBC Tires pit stop. I got to pronounce that C. Keep skipping over it. I don't know those guys. I think they make some pretty good ATV tires. From
That's what I hear too. They look to be pretty. They're pretty nice looking.
That Walker Fowler guy does a lot of wind. So we see the mechanics. That is Charles Merchant, Josh Toth's mechanic with the pit board in hand there. Now it's Trevor Bollinger checking in the number 4 spot in XC1 and overall. He's through, and a solid ride for Trevor here today. So there is Toth on screen through the GBC Tires pit stop, and steady throttle around the corner. And he's now, at this point, Josh Toth is clicking off the miles. He's checking them off in his head. He sees a mile marker, and he knows, I can't speak for him, but I can tell you, if it's a day where you're kind of pushing to get to the Jordan Ashburn now.
Wow, back up to 5th.
Yeah, it didn't seem like he's that far behind.
18
Trevor
seconds
Bollinger.
now behind Trevor Bollinger. He turned to 28:52. He was actually, 28:27. Sorry about that. So he was 33 seconds faster on that lap. Bollinger, a 29 flat lap time on that one, is running in 4th place position.
Tyler Medaglia and Stevie Holcomb through. That would be your 6th and 7th place riders. So Ashburn able to get around them and put a little gap on him from when we last saw him just a few miles ago. Here is the 3rd place overall rider. Craig DeLong getting into a tuck there. Max aerodynamics for max speed. Trying to run down Josh Toth, trying to outrun Trevor Bollinger and Jordan Ashburn. A pretty comfortable gap right now. Craig DeLong should be able to put a good, smooth, steady lap in, pick good lines, keep pushing, and I think we're going to see him standing on the far end of the podium in the 3rd place spot.
Wow, impressive lap once again by Mike Witkowski as he turns in a 28:26 that last time around. Yields him 5th place overall, leading the XC2 class. He and Jordan Ashburn looking at 2 hours, 16 minutes, 53 seconds. It's 0.2 for Mike Witkowski, so he's leading that by 0.7 of a second on adjusted time right now.
don't think that Jordan Ashburn's not getting pit boards about that, because right now Jordan Ashburn wants to be in this championship hunt, is in this championship hunt, and sitting in second place in points coming into this weekend, every point matters for him. So even if it's not an XC1 position, those overall points, and again, and the top 4 positions pay bonus points. Back to 5th, they don't. So the top 4 positions are the only ones that pay bonus points. Trevor Bollinger currently holding on to that 4th place spot. 18 seconds, I believe you said it was, over Jordan Ashburn. We'll see what it is there. Past that Yamaha Blue Crew banner at 2:18.48. And no Ashburn just yet. There is Ashburn. Oh, we're going to cut away to the 2-mile marker, and we're going to see our leader, Ben Kelly, coming through the Monster Mile, picking good, smooth lines, working his way around lappers. And in this case, we've seen the gap open up enough that we're actually going to see Ben Kelly a second time coming the other way here before we see Josh Toth come through this camera shot.
Back to the Witkowski and Jordan Ashburn scenario here. The other thing that we got to think about, we were talking about point standings as Toth makes his way, Ben Kelly back through the Monster Mile. Sorry about that. But the one thing that I wanted to point out is these guys are not only battling for the overalls right now on the racetrack in positions, but when we look at it and start dissecting it, they are going to be battling for that runner-up spot in points, at least for the short term, if nothing else, as Witkowski may make up some points on Jordan Ashburn.
That has tightened up.
Yes.
Witkowski, Lyndon Snodgrass on his rear wheel in the GBC Tires pit stop there. So now we see Josh Toth coming through at the 2-mile marker. So again, we know that gap 45 seconds plus behind Ben Kelly, and still holding a pretty solid gap over 55 seconds, I believe it was, over Craig DeLong in 3rd, at least when they checked in and scoring there. Seems like Josh may have lost a little more time, so I wouldn't be shocked if we see Craig a little bit closer, but still a comfortable gap. He's not in the camera shot. Josh is going to be watching those pit boards. Craig going to be throwing everything at it, trying to track Josh down for that second place spot, but he's running out of time to do it. Just 10 miles of racing, 10 miles of track lie between these guys and the finish line, and a checkered flag waving. Let's see if we can get another shot there of that XC2 battle, because that one is really heating up over the win. Mike Witkowski looking like he had started to sprint away. Now Lyndon Snodgrass right back to the rear wheel.
Well, another thing to point out, I was doing some math here. I was looking at adjusted times. Trevor Bollinger is currently 4th place. Again, remember, he turned a 29-minute flat lap time. Witkowski a 28.26, so he was 34 seconds faster that last time around. As we look at elapsed time right now, 2:16.35. He is, I think about 19 seconds, actually 18 seconds. He's about the same time on adjusted time that Jordan Ashburn is. Add 0.2 of a second to that. That'll make it easy for me. So he is currently 19 seconds out of 4th place position overall right now, and he's running a 34-second faster lap at least last time around. So theoretically, we could be seeing Witkowski battling for a top 4 position. Now there's another minute to make up to get into a podium spot, but wow, how solid a ride is that?
Yeah, and again, overall points, and I mean, with the way things are shaping up so far, I mean, these XC2 guys have a great chance at getting into the top 5, 6, 4, maybe even 3 overall for the year in points as they're running. They're not that far out of it. I mean, Mike Witkowski, if you look at the overall top 20 points, sitting solidly in the top 5 already before this round. So, he could potentially fight his way up in there and be battling for a top 3 number. Ben Kelly on screen. Sorry, Josh Toth. Ben Kelly's already been through at the 2nd mile marker there. Monster Energy mile. This is mile 2, the backside. We will see them again one more time, 2 more times actually before the finish. But that gap not getting any smaller. Craig DeLong not seeming to make up any huge strides to reel in Josh Toth. He's still going to keep fighting. It's a few miles to, well, we'll see him here at the 3-mile marker. Make a liar out of me. I forgot about this shot. And Ben Kelly taking a look over at the camera and knowing there's a shot there, headed through at the 3-mile marker through the Yamaha Forest Method Alley. Method Race Wheels bringing you this shot. And, man, Ben Kelly kind of looked relaxed there. He took a look over at the camera, and you got to wonder if in his head he's thinking, hey, you guys at home watching this?
Check me out.
I make this look good. Well, his mom's here, but maybe she's watching back at the pit. They keep the iPads at the ready and keep tabs on these guys that way.
All righty, mile marker number 3 right now. We are 2 hours, 23 minutes into this race, and we are looking at 18 to 19 minutes before our leaders due in for what is expected to be the checker flag this time around. Ben Kelly, Josh Toth, Craig DeLong running physically and time adjusted 1, 2, and 3. Overall elapsed time right now for Craig DeLong is 2 hours, 15 minutes, 31 seconds. Trevor Bollinger was 1 minute and 4 seconds behind that, basically with 2 hours and 16 minutes and 35 seconds. So, again, you know, if DeLong keeps the pace and just stays on pace here on this final lap, he should be able to secure that third-place position without any issues. And, again, keep an eye on that battle for fourth place overall. Keeping an eye on Mike Witkowski as much as anything, and Jordan Ashburn, because those guys, even though Jordan's solidly in second at the moment as far as points are concerned, we expect to see Mike Witkowski move up into third, and those points in the future could be very critical. Like you said, Johnny, when we get to the back end of the season, round number 13, every point's going to count, and I think it's going to be that scenario in a lot of these positions at the end of this championship.
Absolutely. And the scenario here on the last lap, Craig DeLong charging, still not really making up any markable ground on the second place rider of Josh Toth. Toth still sitting around 50 seconds ahead there. So that is that gap starting to loom large. I mean, it's the same as it was at the finish, give or take, but with each mile, that's that much less real estate that you have to make up that time. It's getting tougher and tougher. Still a lot of challenging sections left ahead. This one far from over. But as we've got those couple 1 minute gaps, essentially, give or take, between first and second and third, things starting to look a little more certain in terms of our finishing positions with each passing mile.
No doubt about that. And again, just waiting and in anticipation and excitement. Johnny, we generally keep an eye on top amateur situations, and we haven't even talked a lot or any really about the FMF XC3 125 Pro-Am class. But right now, we look through the top 20 overall. We see XC1 and XC2 and one 250A class rider, Grant Davis, the 922, who actually got the lead in that class, is currently running in the 19th place overall position. And quite an impressive run he's got going on right now, as Chase Colville, running second in that class, 1 minute 46 seconds back, is just outside the top 20 and 21st overall.
Rodney, I don't mean to break in here, but the battle over that fourth place spot really heating up. Jordan Ashburn nearly to the rear wheel of Trevor Bollinger. So Trevor Bollinger really needs to get on the hammer if we want to keep tabs on that fourth place overall position.
Gavin Simon is your third fastest right now as far as top amateurs are concerned. He is 250A third place position holder. So just to give you an idea of how top amateurs are working here. And the question that I need to answer for myself as much as anything, what is going on in the FMF XC3 125 class at the end of 4? Dominic Morris, these guys are doing any time for lap 5 complete. Dominic Morris leading Brody Johnson. That might be a little bit of a difference. It was less than a second between those two, but they had a whale of a race going on, it looks like. Zach Hayes running another minute and 36 seconds back in third, Hunter Newith fourth, and Jake Froman was your fifth place ride. Well, with that being said, our top 5 there showcased in our FMF XC3 125 class. It is Big Kelly, Josh Toth, and Drew DeLong 1, 2, and 3 in the XC1. And overall, what's going to happen in fourth place position? Can Bollinger hang on to it? Will Mike Witkowski surprise us all, or can Jordan Ashburn get back on pace? Stick around to find out. GNCC Live continues after this.
We all have our reasons to accomplish, to work hard. We share a common goal, to be the best. Keep fighting, put in the work, never take the easy way. Your drive and determination fuels our passion.
Welcome back to GNCC Live on RacerTV.com. And, of course, the biggest part of a GNCC weekend is the amateurs that make up the GNCC Racing Nation. And, of course, they race out here with the pros as well in this afternoon race. As we take a look at our top standings in our amateur rundown, the Open A bike, it's Neil Inman leading Cole Whitmer, Nathan Rector, Tanner Whipple in the fourth place position, and Big Sam Evans rounding out the top 5. Good mix of riders, Missouri, Pennsylvania, West Virginia. Grant Davis leading the 250A class, and Chase Colville just stepping up there from the 125 class from last year. In the number 2 spot, Gavin Simon in third. Bubs Tasha, fast rider out there in fourth, and Jason Tino rounding out the top 5. Big Jack Walker out of Morrisonville, Illinois on the gas leading the 150A class with Cameron Madison, another Midwesterner in the number 2 spot. Brady Weimer in third. Olin Daniels in fourth, and it's Gunnar Williams out of Jacksonville, Florida, rounding out the top 5. Lane Whitmer from Amity, Pennsylvania is leading the 4-stroke A lights class with Cooper Jones in second, Cade Henderson in third, Drew Calloway in fourth, and Cole Forbes rounding out the top 5. Forbes, if memory serves me correct, a fast rider from the youth ranks last year, and Whitmer, son of Doug Whitmer, a part of the Coastal team. Caleb Haynes leading the Junior A 25-plus class with Braden Moore in second, Andrew France in third, Keith Holtzclaw in fourth. Andrew Boggs rounds out the top 5 in that Junior A class. Vet A class sees Jared Jordan out front out of Tennessee with Shane O'Banion from Bowling Green, Kentucky in the number 2 spot. Robbie Norwood in third, Cameron Ishmael in fourth, and James Bauer rounding out the top 5 in that Vet A class. We look at the Senior A class now. It's Joe Marsh, leading Smiling Frank Messina out of New York, that second place ride. Joe Dean in third. Shotgun Sean Remington in the number 4 spot, and Brian Johnson rounds out 5th place out of Round Rock, Texas there. The Open B class now, Jacob Lauder out of South Carolina leading Ty Kelly with Cole Morgan in third, Austin Hovatter in the 4th place position, John Wood rounding out the top 5. On next to our 250B class, it is Andrew Inman leading Caleb Lane. Inman out of the heart of GNCC territory in Bangor, PA, and of course Caleb Hines, behind Caleb Lane there in the number 3 spot. Tyler Shields in fourth, and Brady Robbins rounds out the top 5. Owen Barnes leading Andrew Seegers in that 150B class with Ryan Gribben in third, Carter Winland in fourth, and Robert Weiss rounds out the top 5. As we move to our next class here, I believe, the 4-stroke B lights class, Shane Shashelwicks in the number 1 spot, Dakota Cunningham in second, Landon Beatty in third, Nicholas Thompson in fourth, and 5th place is Tom Allen. And the Vet B 30-plus class, Ryan Ford leading Brian Rezotorski with James Arnold in third, Eric Kettering in fourth, and Julio Lubiana in the number 5 spot. In our Senior B40-plus class, Joselton Ramos leading Mike Swartz and Mauricio De Souza in the number 3 spot. That's Dave Younglis in fourth, and Martin Fortner rounding out the top 5 all the way down here from Canada. Good to see a lot of those Canadian names as the border's starting to open back up. Trenton Madison leading the Junior B class, Benjamin Fricks in second, Casey Munger in third, Brandon Farmer in the number 4 spot. Dakota Turner rounds out your top 5 in the Junior B 25-plus class. And there's your XC1 Open Pro class. Ben Kelly, Josh Toth, Craig DeLong, Trevor Bollinger, and Jordan Ashburn rounding out that top 5. You look to be kind of impressed with some of those names that I was able to pronounce there.
I was just curious if you were pulling Rezazowski and Tshilflikilis. Shashelwicks, or if they had actually come to you and said, this is how you pronounce my name.
The Tshilflikilis, I'm still a little off, but I'm closer than I ever was years ago.
I would just look at that and say, it starts with a C. That's all I had on that one. Yeah. So, Rezazowski, I think you might have made that one.
There's a Saselchek that spelled something similar to that, but I think that's 2 totally different names or something like that. I might have gotten that one
wrong. Was impressed.
Yeah. And but nonetheless, a great list of riders there as we look at our Open A class once again. You know, the Whitmer boards, Cole Whitmer we see there in the Open A class, and we're talking about Lane Whitmer. They are the sons of Doug Whitmer, which is the he's
mechanic now, I guess, at Coastal Racing, but Barry Hawk's mechanic that.
And former XC1 ATV racer.
And former XC1 ATV racer.
Double A back then it was called, before the XC1 days.
And I think it's really cool that his boys are in it. And not only are they into it, man, they are in it. And they are top levels of their class, no doubt about that, as Stu Baylor finds his way back in studio. Stu, as we are inching our way toward the finish line, doing about 6.5 minutes. I know you wanted to get out and check out the course and see what was going on. You were getting a lot of text about how great the track was. What's the update?
I don't even want to talk about it. it's definitely one of those tracks that I'm looking at it like this is me all over it. But no, Georgia's one of the places. It's a little bit more like my place than Big Buck is. Like, obviously, being South Carolina, you would think that I would be more familiar with that terrain, but I'm pretty close to the Georgia line. Like, from this track, I'm right at an hour from here. So it's the woods look the same on the camera, but the dirt's definitely different. The soft pockets kind of resemble a lot of the stuff that I have that I grew up riding between my place or my dad's place and the Shoals, and it's just one of those tracks where I've always seemed to ride really well, and I enjoy these conditions. So I went out and checked it out. It's rougher than ever. It's super soft, super rutted, technical, pretty much everything that I want to see in a dirt bike track.
And you go and break your neck.
I know. Oh, it's terrible. But no, I got to watch the leaders come by and kind of take some notes, some mental notes. Watch what the guys are doing. Got to see the plan of attack on Ben, and he's really just not pushing it. He's doing exactly what he needs to do. I think when I was out there, he had just got a little bit over 40 seconds on Toth, but doing what he needed to do, not pushing it. Checking out before the gnarly sections, reading the line, nailing his mark. No sense of urgency, just clicking off another round like he has the last two.
And to me, it's kind of reminiscent of what we've seen Caleb Russell doing, honestly, in some of those latter years, and maybe not so much the later years when you were pushing him around the track, Stu. But just the comfort that he has out front, man. I mean, that display of just confidence when he rides right now.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Thad was always pushing Caleb. I feel like pretty much the majority of his career, and Strang and a few other guys through the years, Paul Whibley, Charlie Mullen, some probably majority. I think Caleb always says his toughest competitor was Charlie, but I think overall, like, Thad was probably there more than anybody. And Caleb was really good at controlling the race from the front, and Thad was really good at not wanting to put himself in a situation to where he was leading too early. And it was fun racing to watch for a long time. Ben's doing it a little bit. I mean, Caleb definitely had his fair share of big gaps, but Caleb kind of liked to manage his race with a close eye on his competitors. Ben's just putting on a clinic right now. I mean, he's running away with it. There he is on camera. That outside line that I told you early in the race, he was sizing it up behind Toth, figuring out where he can stay out of the rough stuff. He's dialed. I mean, everything he's doing is exactly what he needs to do, and he's running another very perfect race. And obviously we'd love to talk about Ben, but I'm more interested. I put on my headset just when I was walking out, checking the track out, taking some videos. Got to see the XC2 guys come through. That's the race.
That's the race. You're absolutely correct.
Lendon's ran him down. They've obviously gapped out Ryder, so it's no longer a three-way battle. But you got Lendon pushing, pretty much just pushing Mike around the track. Wherever he's going, Lendon's taking a different line. The track's really rough. A lot of different lines out there, but it seems to be more or less there's two fast lines, but they're equal. So it's really hard. You got to almost hope that the other guy makes a mistake. Here we got Josh Toth, and that gap's pretty big, but he's very, very smart, just riding his race in and doing what he needs to do. But the XC2, like I said, I mean, they're wherever one is, the other was not. They're pushing it right down to the end. Witowski has to know at this point who he's going against. He doesn't need to win right now. It's not a do or die. So for Mike, if he gets too defensive, like, he could obviously, whoa, uh-oh.
That is a battle right there.
That went from like 50 seconds at the finish line, if I'm not mistaken. I had to watch
Craig
on it.
DeLong has really, really tracked down Josh Toth. He's not quite to the rear wheel yet, but he's got it under 10 seconds, I'd say.
And it's the final miles, and there isn't much passing in the final miles, but like even just where I stood just below the trailer here, it's a lot of gnarly ruts. If one lapper makes a mistake, that's all it takes, and Craig can slip by.
interesting as we not only keep an eye on positions, but that race that you're talking about in the XC2 class is the possibility of yielding a top 4 place overall position. And with Linden so close to Mike Witkowski right now, Jordan and Trevor Bollinger are definitely in threat of losing a couple of spots if they don't keep up or pick up pace here on the final lap of racing.
Well, Jordan Ashburn, the last time I saw, was about 11 seconds from the rear wheel of Trevor Bollinger.
Sounds like he picked it up. The last time we saw him at the 3-mile marker, he was less than that. He was about 5.
So he's closing that gap. Craig's closing up here. It could be a race down to the wire. You know, I thought the results would just kind of stay where they were in XC1, but obviously some shakeups here. Ben Kelly seems to have no sense of urgency again, doing exactly what he needs to do.
Look at that manual.
He knew the camera guy was there for sure.
Yeah, that was pretty cool, man.
Yeah, so that's where those long legs come into play. But I want to see
legs.
You know, they've got, when they come by this point, they'll have a mile and a half, so 3 to 4 minutes of racing. I want to see what that gap is between Craig DeLong and second place rider Josh Toth. But XC2, anyways, I was listening in, and
I think we're about to see, I think, the battle possibly over 4th place. I think we may have a new 4th place rider. That's not him there, but I have a feeling when they pop out here, we may have a new 4th place rider. And we do. Jordan Ashburn has gotten around Trevor Bollinger, at least from what we're seeing on screen, unless we missed Bollinger there. He was pretty well on his rear wheel when we saw him at the 3-mile marker, now 7 miles later at the 10. Now we're over to the 11, and we're watching for what could be a wheel-to-wheel battle ensuing between the 2nd place rider of Josh Toth and the 3rd place rider of Craig DeLong. What if we see these guys come out side by side? There is Toth, still with a little bit of breathing room. I wonder if he knows how close Craig DeLong is. Craig's lost a little time there. Now we see Witkowski.
And where is Lennon Snodgrass? The last update I heard was wheel to wheel. I think I saw some contact. And there's Medaglia and Steve Holcomb, and I think that was Lennon slipping through. So he's got to go through 2 XC1s. Obviously, anything can happen, but I would say in these final miles, it's going to be tough to make passes on 2 XC1 guys that are battling themselves for, 5th place now, 6th place in XC1. So for him to make both of those passes and catch Witkowski, not too far-fetched, but I think this race is all but over there. But obviously a shakeup in XC1, and I think we didn't get to see, but Craig DeLong still could be close enough, but it's pretty close to the finish line at this point.
Well, speaking of the finish line, our leader's making his way into the final chicanes as Ben Kelly is set to make it 3 wins in a row to kick off the 2022 championship and take the win here at the Specialized General GNCC. Wow, what an impressive day for Ben Kelly. Again, we've talked about that. Josh Toth we should expect to see coming along in 2nd. DeLong had dropped back in 3rd, but again, that battle back there for 4th place, I believe we're seeing Ashburn now physically 4th on the track, but you know, the question is, where's Mike Witkowski going to finish up in all this right now? Will he steal the time away on Jordan Ashburn on time adjustments? And again, that would bode well as far as looking at moving up more in the points and challenging quite possibly for not only 3rd place from that XC2 Pro class, but also maybe even looking at a 2nd place position. And talk about something of historic proportions right there. I mean, that's something that's never been done, I don't think. Santa Ryder from row 2, 2nd place in points. Not even top 3 if memory serves me correct.
I sat 2nd place, I think, in 2012 for a very brief time. After maybe round 4 or 5. That's interesting. And I think I want to say there's been a couple guys early in the season, possibly Caleb Russell, and the only other one I can think of would be Rory Mead. He pulled some really good results there in XC2 one year.
Yeah, but looking at it right now and the big picture, Stu, these guys could be there for the long haul. Well, that's going to wrap up at least the big win for Ben Kelly. And, of course, we'll be talking with Ben and the rest of our podium when we return with more here on GNCC Live.
We all have our reasons to accomplish, to work hard. We share a common goal, to be the best. Keep fighting, put in the work, never take the easy way. Your drive and determination fuels our passion.
Born of family values and a homegrown work ethic, Cometic Gaskets seals your machine so you can focus on the finish line. Cometic Gaskets are the competitive standard for racers who demand the very best. Cometic Gaskets are constructed from superior materials designed to perform in the most demanding environment, whether it's championships on the line or a day in the dirt with friends. Professionals and enthusiasts depend on Cometic. Cometic Gaskets, sealing championships since 1989.
Amsoil runs on freedom and has since 1972. We punish our products firsthand in our world-class laboratories and beyond, because some things can't be learned from a test tube. Run with us.
This Racer TV broadcast is brought to you by Specialized. Specialized Turbo E-Bikes. It's you, only faster. And by Rocky Mountain ATV MC. Get ready.
And welcome back to GNCC Live from Aonia Pass in Washington, Georgia, as we wrap up the Specialized General GNCC. Rodney Tomlin along with Johnny Gallagher and Stu Baylor, and of course Mikey Wayne's out, as Ben Kelly has taken the win here in Georgia for round number 3. Josh Toth in second, finishing 1 minute and 9 seconds back. Craig DeLong taking third place. He was another 8.4 seconds back in that third place position. And that battle for the overall that we were talking about with Mike Witkowski, Lyndon Snodgrass, Jordan Ashburn, and of course Trevor Bollinger. Here's the way it breaks down. Witkowski will take 4th overall, winning the XC2 250 Pro class. It will be Lyndon Snodgrass 5th overall and 2nd in the XC2 250 Pro class. Jordan Ashburn will take 6th. Tyler Medaglia 7th. Trevor Bollinger in 8th. 9th, Stevie Holcomb, and Ryder Lafferty rounds out your top 10. We'll head down to the winner's circle, Mikey Waynes.
Thanks, Rodney. Yeah, down here with Ben Kelly, P1, 3 in a row.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Just been riding really good, feeling good, and everything's just been clicking. You know, I guess just from last year learning everything. I've been carrying into this year, but it's crazy. It was a gnarly race out there today. It was so cold yesterday, and there were so many lines. You're out there pedaling the track, and you're just so cold. You were just like not really wanting to be out there. So I was kind of not quite sure with all my lines, but I think everyone was kind of that way, just with the way it was shaping up. And yeah, I got off to a good start. I was right there in third. Josh was leading and Jordan was in second, and we were just kind of freight training that first lap, and I was following those guys as they were picking good lines, and Josh had a crash, so then Jordan was leading, I was in second, and yeah, we were still exploring, and Josh snuck by me and then by Jordan again, and yeah, I was able to finally get by Jordan and get in second behind Josh, and yeah, we were just freight training for a few laps there. It was cool. Like, I feel like we're just a mirror image sometimes when we're riding out there. Like, just we have a lot of the same style sometimes, and yeah, it was cool. Just felt like XC2 days, and yeah, I tried to make paths on him a few times, but he was riding good, and yeah, just had really good lines. We kind of had the same lines, and anytime he would try to explore, it'd be kind of tough and be a slow line, but yeah, I think he caught a loose rock on a downhill, and so I got a freebie pass there again, and that was cool. And yeah, then it was just kind of opposite. We were freight training with me in the lead, and I was able to slowly pull a gap there on, I think, the 4th, 5th lap, and maintain it there through the end.
Well, congratulations to you, man. There is your winner, 3 in a row. Rodney throwing it back like it's the XC2 in 2017. We're going to go talk to Josh Toth.
All righty, sounds good. Mikey Waynes and the progression of GNCC as we watch these riders build themselves into great riders and eventually champions like Josh. I remember, you talking back, what was it, 2011, 2012. Stu, when you were still running the XC2 class and you and Jason Thomas were going at it, those were some of the most probably fierce battles I think I've ever seen in an XC2 class.
I'm pretty sure there's some death threats made that year. Like, not just once, between Jesse Robinson and myself, Jason Thomas, there's a few others, and yeah, it was definitely intense. And obviously I came through it at a very early age. It almost seems like I'm one of the older guys, but I got to see it, and the XC2's always been that way, that crazy battle. And there's Josh Toth about to talk about his.
Yeah, no doubt about it, as we head down for second place.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, hey, down here with Josh Toth. Ben talked about it. We brought it up, man. This feels like 2017, those old XC2 battles from, 6 years ago. But, hey, today, it's all about the XC1. Took the P2 today. Tell us about it.
Yeah, man, it felt awesome to be back up there riding with Ben. Got off to a great jump and just, rode my own race and made a mistake on lap 1, and Jordan and Ben got away, and we just started following their lines and seeing where they were going. It was mayhem with like all the ruts and mud holes out there on lap 1. So yeah, then I saw a couple openings and just made a move on Ben, and Ashburn got back in the lead. And man, yeah, I didn't know what to expect coming in this weekend. I was exhausted, but just rode my own race and gave it everything I had, and stoked to be on second.
We're going to see you regularly on the podium moving forward, right?
Hell yeah. I'm going to put up a fight with Ben for sure the rest of the year.
Let's go. Let's do it. There you go. Your second place finisher, Josh Toth.
And what a great run. And yes, blast from the past, but those were only preludes, obviously, to what we have here today in our present day GNCC racing. And, of course, finishing a solid third-place position finish today. Man, you got to give it up for this rider. Really digging deep and coming into this class this year. You never know where your place is in the class, but it looks like that Craig DeLong is certainly finding, I think, his place very quickly. And honestly, he's doing exactly what I expected to see him do, move his way to the top of the class as we head down for our interview with third place.
Thanks, Rodney. Yeah, down here, Craig DeLong, man, a P3 today. Looking good out there.
Yeah, I felt good. I slow start as always. Screwed up the first couple miles and was in the back, and played catch up, and finally got riding there good, like end of the first lap into the second lap, and me and Trevor hooked up, and we were going back and forth for a good bit, and then I got around him, and I kind of thought we were going to battle it out to the end, and he must have made a mistake and dropped off, and I kind of rode by myself there 3/4 of the way through the race, and I was getting pit boards that I was kind of closing on Toth a little bit, so I put my head down, and man, the last lap I had a lot of fun, and I felt good, and kind of wish I started my charge a little sooner, but it happens, and you live and you learn. So I'm happy.
Feeling good there. Like you said, after white flag, I think you closed in right at or less than 10 seconds from Josh Toth, man. So where's your head at moving into the next round?
For sure, definitely some confidence. I know that I now am like a podium guy. I mean, Ashburn, I think he had some problems earlier in the race and kind of set him back, but I know I can run with these guys now, and then, just more confidence in myself, and that's kind of what I was lacking. I did, being the rookie, I guess you want to call that, I didn't really believe in myself as much, and but now it's starting to click, and I feel good.
Heck yeah, Craig DeLong, believe in it now, man. Rodney Tomlin taking the P3, Craig DeLong.
Well, there you go. Craig DeLong working his way up into a great position this weekend. And, man, I tell you guys, a really great display of maturing, I think, early on as a rookie here this year.
Yeah, I mean, Craig, we talked about it in Florida. He kind of let the race come to him. He never pushed it, and today I think he did the same thing, and I think he's probably got a little bit of regret that he didn't push it a little bit sooner. But we talked about it, timing's everything when you make those moves, and Ben has been really good, and I think that comes with not just maturity, but maturity of being in the front of the pack and knowing when somebody's going to go away, and the right time to do it every single race. It's a little bit different depending on conditions and lappers, and I think Craig's just got to figure out those first couple laps.
Well, he's doing a great job of it, it looks like. Feeling strong on the last lap, wishing he would have made his push a little bit earlier. Could have been pretty exciting had he done that. I'm not sure. I think Mikey might be trying to get a word in with Mike Witkowski, our fourth place overall finisher and XC2 250 Pro Class winner that was in a torrid battle today with Lyndon Snodgrass and Ryder Lafferty. I mean, that battle today between those guys was pretty intense in the XC2. This is what it looks like as far as the overall is concerned in the top 10 here in Georgia. Ben Kelly, Josh Toth, Craig DeLong. It's got Trevor Bollinger in fourth place position, and I think that might be a lap down. I've got Mike Witkowski in fourth place position, Lyndon Snodgrass in fifth, Jordan Ashburn in sixth, Tyler Medaglia seventh, Trevor Bollinger in eighth, Stevie Holcomb in ninth, and Ryder Lafferty rounding out the top 10. And with that being said, Ryder Lafferty having that breakout ride here a few years ago and another great ride here today. He's standing by with Mikey Waynes to talk about his third place today.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, Ryder Lafferty, man, summing up a P3 today, XC2. Got to be feeling pretty good.
Yeah, definitely. Better than Florida. Florida was a rough one for me, and I was looking for some redemption. I wanted to come out here and really prove a point. Honestly, third, getting tired of it. But I was happy to be up there in the fight with those guys. They were riding awesome. And, it was a good day. Bike was working awesome. Just, got a few things I need to work on and get that win soon.
There you go. Go get that win. There is Ryder Lafferty finishing in the number 3 spot today.
Well, there you go. Ryder putting in a great ride here today for that third place position finish. Seems to be a little down about that, so that lets you show these riders are still hungry and want more, and that might give them the fuel to work with over the course of the next couple of weeks before we head back into it. Well, that's going to wrap things up. Looks like our other 2 XC2 riders have headed back to the pits, so we're going to wrap things up here on Racer TV. Stu, Johnny, thanks for stopping by, you guys. It's been great to work with you today.
We have fun, just like always.
It was a great weekend for racing. We'll do it again in 2 more weeks.
All righty. Mikey Wayne's down on the podium. Thank you for all your help. And all the Racer TV crew, you guys did an A-plus job once again. On behalf of all of us here at RacerTV.com, I'm Rodney Tomlin. Have a great day, everybody.